going on during the World Cup go this way? It's just out of this world of even understanding, but here we are. So what's obviously the headline of this YouTube video? Bernardo Silva to Real Madrid. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second.
Do you spend all day in meetings?
Where did this come from? Boys, you guys tell me. Bernardo Silva a few weeks ago literally offered himself to Barcelona. He's been flirting with Barcelona for months. Years. We've heard about Bernardo Silva in Barcelona even going years back. So what's going on here? Well, Real Madrid, here they go again. Because I thought for me, Alvarez was maybe just like a one-off, like we're gonna mess with them. And obviously that just ruffled a feather under Atletico's skin. Atletico did not like that one bit. You know, they went all on Twitter, and I was thinking, well, was this just bidding tactics to get Barca to overpay? But the point of this video is the more and more we're looking into it, bro. Guys, Barca's, they're screwed. They're screwed. They really are screwed. You know, we thought maybe it was like overhyped, all this. Nah, bro. They can't even finish the construction of their own stadium, man. They're considering to refinance their credit line with Goldman Sachs with an extra 450 million euros needed. Barca and the city of Barcelona are under pressure from residents around the Camp Nou. Neighborhood associations are demanding urgent measures after matches caused street closures, blocked access, disruptions. They want surveillance cameras, better public transport. Oh my goodness, bro. And so Barca's out of money again. Why? Because they blew it all on Anthony Gordon. They couldn't get Rashi because they got no money left. They can't get Bernardo Silva. And guys, out of understanding business, I think they put one of their higher offers they were going to have for Alvarez. 100 mil. And we know in this market, I mean, dude, Real Madrid just bid 150 for Alvarez and got denied. And Atleti said, show him the release clause. So if you're a Barcelona fan, we're not going to be seeing another bid on Alvarez. I'm telling you right now, they don't have money. They don't have money. They spent it all on Gordon. So now if you're a Barca fan, your momentum in the offseason, your momentum in this window, yeah, it's not as good. It's definitely not as good because we haven't heard anything this week about a center back, an Alvarez follow-up. They let Rashford go. Rashford's either going to be, I mean, just on the bench at United or he's going to be at Bayern Munich or wherever else. I mean, come on. And now, I mean, I want to show you guys this. This kind of made me laugh. This kind of made me laugh. Like he's copying Barca's homework. But look, man. Look, you know, in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe it was just words and stuff. Okay, so now, no, it's not words. And Bernardo Silva's down. He said, I want to go to the Spanish league. You're the only team that wants me. 2-year deal plus 1-year option. Fast deal by Madrid started 36 hours ago and closed immediately. Mourinho wanted Bernardo. He says yes, and advanced talks revealed today are 100% confirmed. Guys, let's just talk about it real quick. I like it. Bernardo Silva, is he past his peak? Absolutely. Is he a tech footballer that understands the game at a very high level? Yeah, there was years they were calling this guy the Portuguese Messi, bro. He's a very good player. Now, is he a Real Madrid player? I don't know, but I actually think Real Madrid, I'm not even talking about age, experience. How old is he? He's like 31? Oh, 31. Swear I didn't know. Um, you know, I think they need more of these types of players, bro, on this team. See, because I look at Real Madrid and I think they just have too many either like firepower, insane superstars or just like lengthy giants. Like, I think they need more of these hardworking, ball carrying, like possession, football IQ, calma players, bro. They're missing this in their team. So when I look at it at face value, is he a Galactico? I don't think he's a Real Madrid player, but I look in the past to Real Madrid and they did have more of these types of players. So when you look at that Madrid side, you see just, again, as I said, a superstar heavy athletic team. You need more ballers like this, right? Because you need the balance when it comes to football. Now, we'll talk about Bernardo Silva a little later. Did you think the drama in this video was done? And I'm not even trying to sell it like it's some crazy drama. Yo, read this with me, okay? I'm not getting cooked from Madrid zone, and I've seen this in a couple places. I thought Real Madrid was hijacking Barca's deal. Little did we know, Real Madrid hijacked Atletico Madrid's deal with Bernardo Silva in the last minute. The deal was done, ready to be signed this morning. Then Bernardo suddenly told Atleti that he's going to join Real Madrid and Jose Mourinho. Let me tell you something right now. Atletico Madrid is not going to sell a player for the next 25 years to Barcelona or Real Madrid. And you know what? I think they deserve it because they're being a bunch of little rats, man. All right? I understand you don't want to sell players to teams in the league.
Hey, it's Julia Wolf. Check out my new music video, Deep End.
League, whatever. They're being a little rat team going on Twitter and trying to cook Yamal and Rafinha. Man, I don't like that energy. Going to social media in 2026, man, you know, subtweeting like a little middle school girl, bro. All right, you guys deserve it, man. You know what? And Jose Mourinho, the special one, came calling it, and Bernardo said, I want to play for you over Simeone. All right, so Simeone, man, I respect you. I like your kid as a footballer. But Mourinho just showed you levels. The special one came calling, and Bernardo, I try my Portuguese accent, don't let bro cook, made the decision. Even reported here, Bernardo Silva, through his agent, had offered himself to Barca and even reached an agreement on a financial figure, but was told that sportingly he won't have a high role. And the club wasn't going to go higher from its initial offer, even if others did. So Barca just, in the end, I guess, wasn't that interested. And I think they were interested other years more than they are now. They just don't seem like they think they need him, which, yeah, I'm looking at the Barcelona team in terms of the Bernardo Silva type player. I can understand. I can understand why they were like, yeah, we don't necessarily need you. But for me, I'm just, you know, we'll talk about Real Madrid in a second, but I'm just like a little concerned. And also, this is coming in from Athletic Universe as well. He chose Real Madrid over Atletico Madrid. I mean, I think everybody would. If you guys are watching this video, would you guys choose Atletico or Real Madrid? I would, especially with Mourinho. But yeah, so here we go. And I'm just sitting here like I'm actually concerned for Barcelona. I'm not concerned because I still think next season, with Baby Goat and everything considered there, that they'll be decisive enough to get stuff done. Do I think they're going to win the Champions League? No. I don't think they're winning the Champions League next year. I think the Spanish league for that is probably the best bet. Mourinho is tough to beat, man. He didn't even lose a league game at Benfica this year. So I'm telling you guys, if you're a Real Madrid fan, you may have to survive some murky waters originally, but I think he's going to be really good for this team, getting them back on the right way. And again, you're not going to bring in Bernardo Silva, who, when's the last season this guy dropped less than a 7 match rating? And you know what I mean? I always call this guy Mr. Consistent. Bernardo Silva, and I got to zoom out so you guys can see. I always called him Mr. Consistent. I think he's just going to come in and give you guys good performances and a lot of consistency. So what this drama to me, it's just, I can't even understand it. I understand where Real Madrid comes calling that you're going to choose Real Madrid. You know, when it comes to Barcelona, it just looks like the offer wasn't good enough maybe. And it just seems like Bernardo wants to play Spanish football. But I can't believe the way that these three teams are acting towards each other in the season off here. I think when you look at Bernardo Silva, I mean, this is a guy that gave you 38 matches in the Premier League, right? He had his lowest statistical season he's had in a long time. But when I just think about what Bernardo Silva can give to a team, it's squad depth. It's squad depth, bro. The guy can play, I would say, for me, I think he can play out on the right quite well and at the 10. I think he can give you some minutes in that box-to-box role. I think if you play Bernardo too deep, you're wasting what you have with him, which like, you know, you're wasting more of his larger strengths. But I got to tell you guys, bro, I think he's going to really add some squad depth when we take a look at this Real Madrid side. I think he's going to give them really some experience and just consistent performances. And as I said, look at that 11, even just that, you know, that last starting 11, right? Obviously, you're missing some players in there. We know the big players that are not there. But I think when you look at it, like, yeah, as I was saying, bro, it's just a massively athletic squad with superstars. I like this fit for them. I think it works. I guess time will tell. But, you know, the end of the matter is that Jose Mourinho came calling for Bernardo. And, you know, that's what happened. And you know what? As a player, as a footballer, as a person in life, you want to feel wanted. You don't need to be needy, but you want to feel wanted. And it looks like Real Madrid and Mourinho came calling, and they made him feel wanted enough to the point where he said, look, I'm going to Real Madrid. So all we can do is respect that. Wow.
Together as a team and make sure you're united, but you know, with the amount of noise that
posted a picture on social media with a leader from the United Arab Emirates, and therefore he's not allowed to play for his country. Let's have a look at the two teams then, starting with Iran, whose domestic league was suspended in March. Players really haven't had much match practice. They've had a couple of training camps in Turkey. Alireza Beyranvand is their goalkeeper. He started the game with England at the last World Cup 3.5 years ago, went off at 0-0 with concussion. Iran ended up losing the game 6-2. And there's a back five of Yousefi, Rezaian, Khalizada, Namati and Mohammadi. Godos, Saman Godos, the former Brentford man, is in a three-man midfield with Azatalahi and Mehebi, Moghanlu. And perhaps the most famous star of this Iran side, Mehdi Taremi, 58 goals in 104 previous caps for his country. He starts up front for Iran.
yeah, both teams have talismans at the top of the field. And right, Taremi is somebody that people in the UK certainly have heard before, certainly across all of Europe. He's played for, as you mentioned, some top teams, Porto, Inter Milan, Olympiacos. He knows how to score a goal, he knows how to take responsibility, and I'm sure if a chance is going to come his way, his whole country will be hoping he can take it.
As for New Zealand, who qualified for this competition all the way back in March 2025, one of the earliest to do so, Millwall's Max Crocombe is in goal. New Instagram star then, Tim Payne in defence, with Sermon Boxall, Kakachi of Wrexham as well. Bell and Stamenic hold the midfield in front of Doze, McCowart, Singh and Just. And Chris Wood, his race against fitness to be here at the World Cup, the Nottingham Forest man, is their number 9.
Yeah, again, best player being right at the top of the pitch, right at the number 9 position, somebody who scores goals, somebody who really does lead the line. And then Chris Wood, again, a player that we're very aware of. He is outstanding for his country. He's got the record goals and record appearances for his country, and what would he give to add to that in this fixture today?
Some sad news from the New Zealand camp before this game. Peterborough United's Matt Garbutt's been ruled out of the tournament. He's picked up a hamstring injury, which is expected to keep him out for a month. So the 24-year-old is replaced. Logan Rogerson. The countdown begins then across the SoFi Stadium. Huge sweeping bowl, 4 tiers all around, navy seats. Many are filled. Perspex clear panels form the roof. That allows for the climate control. Huge circular LED screen that has counted us down from 10 to 1. We are underway on the west coast of America. 6 p.m. on Monday evening in Los Angeles. It is 1 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon in New Zealand, a 19-hour time difference. 4 minutes past 2 here in the UK to split those two time differences. Iran against New Zealand, Iran in white from left to right, have pumped the ball into the box early on. A test for Max Crocombe, leaves it to Tim Payne to head away, almost on the byline on the far side of the penalty area. And New Zealand, traditionally known as the All Whites when it comes to football, are in their reverse kit. They are the All Blacks this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are. And they are from right to left in the opening 45 minutes. Every game today has finished as a draw. Spain and Cape Verde 0-0. Belgium and Egypt, Uruguay and Saudi Arabia both 1-1. Iran on the edge of the penalty area here. Left of the D, clips across. Looking for Razayan, diving header away on the outside of the 6-yard box, and New Zealand allows them to get midway inside their own half. But it is a bright start from Iran.
It certainly is, and New Zealand will just want to take the ball, take a bit of possession at the moment, just to try and build themselves into this game, because as you mentioned, a really positive start from Iran. But because of how positive they were, I mean, they didn't knock the ball at the back, they didn't take passes just to try and build themselves into the game with possession, got the ball out the feet, knocked it forward, asked questions of those New Zealand centre-halves, and although they didn't really get into the penalty area, they certainly had those New Zealand defenders backpedaling and having to win some important headers.
Quick throw-in from Iran. Of course, the throw-ins are being monitored by the referee. 10 seconds to pick up the ball and take it as Ali Reza Bayram-Vand, now 33-year-old, his 87th cap for Iran, has the ball at his feet. The Iranian goalkeeper, sky blue outfit for him, shirt, shorts and socks all to match, and he just plays it out towards the far side of the penalty area for Ali Namati. Then the long ball hooked up towards the halfway line. Little contest involving New Zealand's Finn Sermon at the midway point. Unfair challenge by Joe Bell, who plays his football in Norway, and that gives Iran a free kick.
Yeah, again, a little bit of pressure at the back for Iran. No chances, big long ball, must have been 60, 70 yards forward, asking those New Zealand defenders, centre-halves, to win a header, and then Iran midfield right up behind it, winning the second balls, trying to start attacks in that New Zealand half of the pitch, and got them a free kick in a positive position as well. They'll certainly be pleased with how effective that long ball's been to start with.
And they've won the ball back midway inside the New Zealand half here. Samin Ghoddos, the former Brentford man, tries to work it out towards the far side. New Zealand have been able to clear it, and now themselves get up the pitch with Singh on the far side. The right challenge comes in, just a little poke of the foot from Milad Mohammadi, sees it out for a New Zealand throw.
Yeah, good play from Singh. Took the ball on the back foot, got turned, ran forward, actually forced the opposition to make a tackle, and exactly what they wanted, a throw in that Iran half, just the opportunity just to go play a bit of football up there.
Iran in the last World Cup in Qatar came third in the group that featured England and USA as well as Wales. Iran did beat Wales in the final group stage match, but it counted for nothing. Here is Taremi, his first venture forward on the left of the penalty area, but he's blocked just as he creeps into the 18-yard box. New Zealand have been able to get that away again, but they are facing some serious pressure here.
Yeah, they are. As I mentioned before, they've not quite made it inside that New Zealand penalty area yet, have Iran. But opportunity that for Taremi, just ran forward with the ball, actually had Sermon backpedaling, and did need the help of his teammate Joe Bell to come across, and 2v1 quite comfortably took the ball off Taremi.
Good pace about this Iran side, who are the second oldest at the World Cup. Only Panama have an older average in their squad. 30 years and 121 days is the average of this Iran side. There is a feeling this is it, their golden generation. There's many ageing players, many over 30, that this has to work, otherwise their opportunities may go. And they've got three forward here looking for Taremi inside the penalty area. It was Maghanlu who was trying to squeeze the ball through. He just hit it against the New Zealand player in the end. Rather poor pass through to Taremi, but suddenly the play opened up there for Iran.
Yeah, he went for the most difficult ball as well. Good play on the halfway line, ball into the striker's feet. He just dummied it, allowed the ball to run in behind him, and then they were on the attack quite well there, Iran. They've had some nice passages of play, nice bits of passing movement that's actually troubled this New Zealand defence, but up until the edge of the penalty area, that's when it's broken down for them so far. They haven't been able to quite get a pass right when they get to that position.
So we've played around about 5 minutes. Iran 0, New Zealand 0. BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, of course. You can watch the game on the BBC and via the iPlayer. Good long ball diagonal across to the left-hand side. Iran pressuring New Zealand again. It's the low shot straight at Max Crocombe at his near post. It came in on the angle. Arya Yousefi taking on the effort. And it's the first shot on target that goes to Iran.
Yeah, it come from a good crossfield ball diagonally. I think it was Godos who played it over the top of Payne. He really struggled to get back there, couldn't move his feet quick enough, actually fell over trying to get to the ball, and it just allowed Yousefi just to get hold of the ball, drop his shoulder, cut inside, hit the shot. Fortunately for New Zealand, unfortunately for Yousefi, it was straight at the goalkeeper.
Millwall's Max Crocombe making the save. Yousefi with the shot. He scored in the warm-up win over Gambia. It was Iran's first goal back then since the war broke out, an equaliser at the time. Very nearly put his side in front. 6.5 minutes played. Iran 0, New Zealand 0. Crocombe, who 9 years ago was playing in the National League North for Salford City. He won the title that year, now finds himself in the Championship, now finds himself at the World Cup as New Zealand come forward for the first time. It's a shot taken on that finds the back of the net from Elijah Just. And New Zealand, who have never won a World Cup match, take the lead with their very first attack of the game. Elijah Just slams the ball into the roof of the net from a central position, and it's Iran 0, New Zealand 1.
Yeah, really good play as well. Really good from New Zealand. And it took a bit of heart out the Iran playbook. Just a big long pump forward from Crocombe right into the chest of Chris Wood. And I don't know whether they just respected him too much, the Iranian defenders, but as the ball came up to him, he realised he didn't need to flick it on. The Iranian defenders had dropped away. He just took it nice and calmly on his chest, then on his knee, then had to look around, realised he could actually turn. He didn't have anybody near him. And from that moment, it was a good bit of play between Wood, Just and Singh. Just good little intricate passes before the ball fell kindly to Just inside that penalty area. Just bobbled up lovely, probably about knee height, maybe just hip height, and with his right foot connected with it beautifully. Keeper had no chance, and after a good start from Iran, they find themselves behind. New Zealand are ahead.
Tees himself up, Just flicks it from his left foot on the volley onto his right, and he hammers it home, and Chris Wood runs over to him and screams with delight into his face. Elijah Just, the Motherwell man. No New Zealand player played more in this World Cup cycle over the last 4 years for his nation than Elijah Just. Plays his football in Scotland, and he has the goal that puts New Zealand 1-0 up in Los Angeles. 8 minutes play, and for all of Iran's bright work early on, it was one New Zealand attack that undid them, and now it's all about perhaps the composure, can they get it back, and how they respond.
Well, they look organised. Two banks of four defensively, getting across the pitch. Yes, Iran have been good up to the edge of the penalty area, but New Zealand would be happy with how they defended. But we spoke before the game about the importance of both teams' centre-forward talismans, number 9s, that they've got. And the ball's gone up to Tarami a few times in promising positions, and he hasn't quite been able to figure out the right pass or make it work. That was completely opposite for Chris Wood. First time the ball really came to him in a good position on the pitch, took it down well, started the attack, and they scored from it.
Iran on the ball, left-hand side. Their ultimate goal, New Zealand, is to just win a game. This is the 7th such match at a World Cup. 6 before. They've 3 draws and 3 defeats. They drew all 3 in 2010, including against the then world champions Italy. Now can this generation go one better? Yeah,
it was unfortunate that. I mean, they drew all 3 games and actually were the only team during that 2010 World Cup that didn't lose a game. The eventual winners, Spain, lost their first game, I think it was, in that competition. So they're unfortunate to find themselves out having not lost a game, but can they go one better here? Can they actually get the 3 points? Well, they've started well enough.
Lachlan Bayliss, who's amongst the substitutes for New Zealand today, was saying prior to coming out, they had players from 1982 and 2010 come and speak to the squad to try and inspire them. Well, this generation is doing their own thing. They lead by a goal to 0 on BBC Radio 5 Live. Here's Liberato Cacace, the Wrexham man himself, had to, a bit like Chris Wood, get back and race back to full fitness. He's had an injury hit campaign. He only made 13 appearances for Wrexham in the Championship last season. He was, in his time at Empoli, voted for the FIFA Best Defender of the Year, something he actually thought was a joke and had to ask his agent, had his name just been photoshopped into the list. Gianni Infantino is here, the FIFA president, watching on in his rather comfy seat at the SoFi Stadium, the 70,000 capacity arena. Home of the NFL teams, the LA Rams, the LA Chargers, will host Super Bowl 61 in early 2027. So it's a free kick here to New Zealand, inside their own half. Max Crocombe, short goalkeeper shirt for him. The short sleeves, bright pink outfit. Launches it up towards Chris Wood, just shoulders it onto the path of just on the left-hand side. He can't feed it back to Chris Wood. Iran try and clear it, but end up hitting their own man right where he doesn't want to be hit. Just takes over, left corner of the penalty area. Slides it in here for the chance. Little bit of wriggle room as well. The shot, oh, is a wild one, well wide of the right-hand post. Sarpreet Singh with the effort, stabbed at it with his left foot, did not connect cleanly. Goal kick, 1-0 New Zealand. Yeah, his eventual effort was pretty poor in the end, but the first part of his skill and his trickery was really good. Dropped his shoulder well, went past Iranian defenders as if they weren't there, got into the penalty area, and everything just seemed to stop for a moment. He just thought, I'm just going to try and toe poke this towards goal, maybe just get a little bit of fade with the outside of my left foot. Got it completely wrong, caught with the inside of his left foot, ended up miles from goal. A little bit of history for Sarpreet Singh as New Zealand try and make their own. Him personally is the first player of... Oh, his cross comes in from the left-hand side, headed away. The first player of Indian origin to play at the World Cup since Francis Vikash Darasu in 2006. Is New Zealand on the ball. Stamanic, the Swansea man, feeds it into the centre circle. Playing much better now, New Zealand. That goal has given him such confidence as Chris Wood, with his expertise, slides the ball first time of asking out to the right-hand side. Tim Payne's cross takes a deflection, needs a header away, which comes from Nemati. And then himself asked to volley it away, smashes that out of play for a New Zealand throw-in on the far side. Just pats his hand down towards the grass, asking his teammates to calm down, and everything is under control. Yeah, well, that's the feeling, really, and as the referee's just having a word with Chris Wood, not quite sure what that's about at the moment. Long throw coming up with the big centre-halves coming up, but there's a bit of panic and nervousness about the Iranian defensiveness and the way the team is setting up. That's quite the opposite from New Zealand. They seem quite assured. Long throw-in comes into the penalty area for Michael Boxall. It is taken down by Stamanic, moves out to the right of the penalty area. His cross is blocked by Aya Yousefi. So New Zealand have the first corner of the game over on the far side. Yeah, and again, just a long throw-in into the penalty area. New Zealand head wins the first flick on, and then it's pandemonium for the Iranian defenders, just throwing themselves on the floor, desperately trying to block shots that hadn't actually come in yet. And Stamanic, who ended up, as you said, getting the shot, and another opportunity now. Kakache's corner is short from the far side, the right of New Zealand, lays it back, uses Joe Bell, slid back outside towards Kakache. Cross takes a deflection, needs a header from Taremi, then the bicycle kick comes in. Wood on the turn, can't connect. And Iran have temporarily got it clear to the edge of their own penalty area. Headed back into the box by New Zealand through Kakache, who's trying to keep it alive here for New Zealand, but Iran now move away with the ball, and what can they do on the attack with the New Zealand defence a little bit misshapen for now. Sliding challenge comes in from behind. I think from Stamanic, it's well worked, and the All Blacks, the side in All Black, have managed to hook the long ball deep towards the Iranian penalty area. Calmly passed away by Khalil Zada. Gets the ball back, right-footed, sends it over the halfway line with a couple of bounces. New Zealand have the ball back down on the turf. It's a rush pass from Godos forward down the middle of the pitch. So New Zealand start again with Michael Boxall, who plays his football in America for Minnesota United since their formation in 2017. His brother played in America last year at the Club World Cup for Auckland City. On the chest and flip round the corner from Moghanlu, and it's pulled back nicely here for Godos, shifts it onto his left foot, had a little bit of space, it was closed down immediately, fed back out to Moghanlu on the far side of the field, the left of Iran. Cross blocks at source, that is an Iranian throw. Yeah, closed down really well from Stamanic.
really realised in that moment that it was the first time Iran had got behind that New Zealand defence, first time they had them stretched. As the ball was pulled back from the left-hand side to Godos, who was just in the D on the edge of the penalty area, he knew he had to get out there quickly, made him chop onto his left foot, then another defender came out to help him, and New Zealand managed to get the attack away.
Long throw in from the far side, the left, flicked on by the head of McGanlou, needs the lofted height of Finn Sermon to loop the ball up into the air with his forehead. New Zealand have hit that anywhere they can away from their own 18-yard box. Ball trickles out for an Iran throw midway inside their own half on that far side. They take it quickly. Back to Alireza Bayramvand. Iran 0, New Zealand 1. 16 minutes played in this game. It is Elijah Just's goal that is just enough at the moment for New Zealand to have the lead. Despite Iran perhaps starting the better of the two, they're lacking composure, certainly in the final third.
Yeah, and it's New Zealand who, with that opening goal, obviously had the biggest chance of the game, but nearly had another one just moments before.
Ball forward, McGanlou gets a little elbow in his back from Finn Sermon as they chase a ball that was really beyond their reach, and Max Crocombe comes off his line and catches.
Yeah, and if he's just about to stop the game, the strikers just stayed down. It's McGanlou, I think, as the ball's gone forward, it's just a coming together. It's actually McGanlou who's not looking at the ball, and Sermon is trying to keep his eye on the ball more. Then it's a shoulder to shoulder, nothing more than that. Don't even really fall on each other. Referee, in all fairness to him, in the opening 20 minutes of this game, he's not allowed any sort of diving, he's not allowed any soft challenges, he's not allowed little pushes in the back, he's just not allowed any of it to happen, and it's actually made for a good game. Just seeing that Chris Wood chance I was just about to refer to, that thought they had the first chance, they nearly had the second one as that ball was rattling around in the penalty area. Just seeing the replay now, look how it tried an overhead kick and the ball just scrambled in between Iranian defenders to Chris Wood on the edge of the 6-yard box, right in the middle of the goal. He took a first touch and tried to swivel, and just as he did, a defender just took a swing and just got a toe on the end of it and just knocked it away from Chris Wood, just as he thought he was getting on the score sheet himself.
As an 18-year-old, he was on the bench against Italy for that famous 1-1 draw of New Zealand 16 years ago. It was McGanlou who got the block for Chris Wood at one end, and then at the other. He's just had to take a little time out here, following that, not following the collision with New Zealand defender at the right-hand side of the pitch as we look at it. This huge arena that has hosted the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, BTS, Taylor Swift, Metallica. Which one are you paying to watch?
I'd go to all of them. I'm a big fan of music. And a closet Swiftie as well.
No shame. No shame in that at all. As New Zealand find a pocket of space here, 25 yards and goal, long-range effort, saved by Bayramvand, who has to claw at it to stop the ball at the second attempt. It just ran away from him, but he recovered well. It was a long-range, distant shot from Sarpreet Singh, who looks lively, looks like he wants to get amongst the goals, but the save keeps it 1-0.
Yeah, and he spilt it as well. Surprised that Chris Wood wasn't around that to take that one in. I was just going to mention that, with McGanlou and that injury, you have to stay off the field for a minute now. I just wondered why New Zealand were playing it so slow, why they weren't trying to penetrate, and then suddenly they burst into life. Great pass through the middle before their efforts on goal.
McGanlou's only just come back onto the field of play as Sarpreet Singh commits a foul, and Iran start again from their own back line, working it across the three-man central defence, and now advance into the New Zealand half. Played 19 minutes, still 1-0 to New Zealand here on BBC Radio 5 Live breakfast from LA at 6 o'clock in the morning. 4 games for you tomorrow. That starts with France against Senegal at 8 o'clock, a repeat of the 2002 opener, of which Senegal famously beat the then champions France. From 11 o'clock, Norway against Iraq. The news that Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard are fit to start that game for New Zealand. Defending champions Argentina start against Algeria tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. Leon Osman's back for that one alongside Jonathan Pearce then at 5 o'clock to start technically your Wednesday morning. And it is Austria against Jordan, the debutants one of 4 debutants at the 2026 World Cup. Iran in possession. Saman Ghoddos just moves across the midway point, tries to force it out towards the left-hand side. There's good press there from New Zealand just to limit how far Iran can get forward. Taremi's dropped in to offer his support and increase the numbers on that left-hand side for Iran. Here's Ghoddos with his swept-back black hair. New Zealand have won it back from the Iran overplay. Clip it towards the halfway line. Iran take control once again. Now towards the right of the centre circle with Rezaian. This is Mahebi, but he's forced back into his own half, runs across the centre circle. And this is good pressing from New Zealand. They are limiting how far forward Iran can go. They win it back midway inside the New Zealand half, though. Not for long. Sliding challenge comes in, blocks the ball on the edge of the penalty area. And New Zealand come forward looking for Chris Wood, who takes the ball to feet, moves out towards the left-hand side, spins in a huge turning circle, 360 degrees, but what that has done is allowed teammates to join him in support, then plays a long crossfield pass towards Tim Payne on the right-hand side. Short infield to the edge of the penalty area for Singh. This is McCowart. Long range, but a lot of space opens up here for New Zealand, and Bell, who just thinks about feeding the ball on the inside left channel of the penalty area.
Well. It really was, as he ran forward. It was a really good run from Just. If he'd have just played it inside the fullback, he just refused the pass, played it far too safe.
McCowart loses it on the edge of the Iran penalty area. Now there's 4 in white coming forward here, including Taremi. Does he fancy it alone? He does. Long range effort hits the post. Mehdi Taremi, the man tasked with getting Iran goals at this World Cup, won't come much closer. From the edge of the penalty area, right-footed, hits the right-hand frame. It remains Iran 0, New Zealand 1.
Yeah, it's a mix of being very unlucky and being really poor. It really is. As he runs through the middle, it's basically 4v2 as he's charging towards goal. He had runners left and right. The moment he decides to go by himself, he's kind of got to score. He really does. The options to either side of him were so good. It's a good strike. He hits it well from just the centre of the D as he's arriving there, and he is unlucky that it hits the post, but it's so many options and such a good opportunity. They had to score there.
His goals in a 2-2 draw with Uzbekistan guaranteed Iran's place at the 2026 World Cup, and he nearly got them off the mark in the tournament itself. However, still Iran 0, New Zealand 1. Ball back with Max Crocombe, the New Zealand goalkeeper.
That's the first time we've seen this New Zealand team stretched, and it was all because they started to get confident in possession. They started to play on the edge of the Iran penalty area and actually started to then be a bit negative. I talk about Bell refusing a pass when runs were made, gave the ball away, and suddenly they were exposed, nearly paid the price.
A little bit of space here for Michael Boxall just to wander into at walking pace. Finds Joe Bell with his curly brown hair and bright white boots. Back to the goalkeeper they go, away to our right-hand side. New Zealand all in black, leading us by a goal to nil from right to left in this opening 45 minutes, of which we've had 24. Crocombe goes long, looking for Chris Wood. He is the target man. He takes it on the chest. Defender was all out of position there. New Zealand keep the ball alive, just clips it in towards Chris Wood, who waits for the ball to drop off an Iranian head on the edge of the penalty area. And then Iran have managed to hack it away out towards the far side as the referee calls for the hydration break inside the SoFi Stadium that can be temperature controlled but still warm enough for the players. Chris Wood was showing signs of sweat very early on in this game. They just walk over to the far side. But again, at times, it's the ease that Chris Wood is able to take the ball down, able to turn. Shoja Kanalizada was all out of position there. He went too early on Wood, and that nearly created New Zealand with another opportunity.
Yeah, well, it's a mixture of them respecting Chris Wood a bit too much, but also how clever Chris Wood is being. As you mentioned, Kanalizada is the player that Chris Wood is going and playing up against. Kanalizada is probably, a good 6 inches at best shorter than Chris Wood, physically not built like him. Chris Wood seeing that as an advantage, he's going to play against him. He's going and saying, bring the ball up to me, I will be able to physically dominate this centre-half, and that's what's happening. He's doing it really well. Now, Kanalizada's started to try and dive in on occasions to try and be a bit more physical, and Chris Wood's just giving him a cute nudge at the right time and bringing the ball down brilliantly. We're just seeing that replay again of Tarami hitting the post. It's again, it's a good strike, but I don't think it was ever really going in. It seemed he set it out so wide that it needed an incredible amount of bend to come back inside the post. He had a great option to his left for the whole of that run. He had an early option to his right. Oh, yeah, he's unfortunate, but again, I think you've probably got to score in that moment.
Inside of his right boot, it was curling. Crocombe was beaten, but it smacks right into the middle of the right-hand post, as we'll get another look also at the goal that separates the two sides. It's a fantastic first touch on his left boot, just flicks the ball to go across his body, and then on the volley on the right foot, smashes it down the middle of the goal. No time for Bayram Van to react.
No, it was a really good goal. It looks better the more you see it. As I say, that mismatch of Chris Wood up against Calzada, just bringing the ball down over his head, getting turned, running forward. Cute little pass from Sarpreet Singh, just a little flick back towards Chris Wood, and as he takes it down, I actually think he thinks, I'm going to be able to get a shot away myself, and just in that moment, Elijah just runs right across him and just thinks, I'm taking this with me, scoops it, sort of flicks it with his left foot perfectly, as you mentioned, onto his right foot for that volleyed finish, and perfect start for New Zealand.
So the players have taken on some fluids. Plenty chose to pour the water over their face rather than down their throats. Now the shirts cling to their bodies a little more damper than they were before the hydration break. Article today on BBC Sport website, which you can take a look at, that says a hydration break or momentum break, question mark. Has this killed any momentum for either side, this 3-minute break that we get?
I think it's become more of an advert break, hasn't it, in some sections. I think it's unnecessary. There are probably some arenas in some areas in the United States at the moment that it is necessary to have hydration breaks, but I don't think all of them do. Certainly when games are played later in the evening, afternoons and evenings. I will say, I do think it's a tactical advantage at times. It does stop momentum. However, I don't think it'll affect this game too much. I don't think either team was really on top.
Taremi breaks through over the halfway line. New Zealand player trying to have a claw at his shirt. He plays the early cross in. Oh, Crocombe's made a decision. And then does he catch Mehebi, who goes down and rolls over the byline? Crocombe then nearly caught in possession as Mehebi races back to his feet. Now Crocombe's out of his goal. The long-range shot goes wide of the right-hand post. Well, New Zealand, maybe that has killed the momentum, certainly killed their flow. They were all out of sorts there. The early cross from Taremi, Crocombe all over the place. Mehebi looked lively. They just couldn't take advantage of a near-open goal from range through Sam and Godos.
Oh, it's got a bit of everything. It's got good play, it's got quality, it's got tried a potential cheating with regards to a penalty there. It's got people falling over. What I will say is the ref has got a complete understanding of what he's seeing out there in that moment, because at first there was a penalty. I think, yeah, it was Mehebi tried to just steal a penalty. It was embarrassing nearly how much he tried to dive on the floor there, and then Crocombe taking far too long in possession of the ball and actually getting tackled. And a lot of fun.
Kikache left of the penalty area, goes for the low-driven shot across goal. Bayram Van grabs at it low down to his left-hand side to make the save. That was on target.
Yeah, it was. I think I talked about the other end of the field and the poor play. Back to New Zealand at this top end of the field, and they're really starting to grow in confidence as an attacking team. They're really starting to get bodies forward more. Left back on this occasion, overlapping, getting into the penalty area, unlucky with the shot.
Godos feeds it out towards this near side touchline, the right-hand side for Iran. Ramin Razayan sends in a cross. Godos catches it, rising shot. 18 yards out, left-footed first time. Slightly on the angle to the right-hand side of the penalty area, but it's over and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, unlucky from Godos. Mehebi again in the immediate, right before it, just trying to steal a penalty again. The ball coming up to him. As it bounces onto his chest, he's throwing himself on the floor. New Zealand defenders are just trying to speak to the referee just to say, come on, we can't be having this. But as it ricocheted away, ball fell to Godos, who was very unlucky with his effort. Hit it with his left foot, just rising, couldn't quite get his hip over it to keep it down, went over the bar.
Flicked on by Moghanlu, out towards the left-hand side. This is Taremi, 18 yards out. Step overs from him as the ball rolls into the penalty area, but he can't find a fellow white shirt. His pass is intercepted. And now Singh, just with the inside of his left boot, tries to steer it into the path of Chris Wood, who was a little flat-footed on the halfway line. And Iran have the ball back. Iran 0, New Zealand 1. Elijah Justice's goal is the difference. His 10th for New Zealand in the previous 9 that he has scored in. He has never been on the losing side. We've seen 3 draws today already, and Iran are trying to fight back, but maybe New Zealand can get the first win of the day, with Spain drawing with Cabo Verde earlier. A little surprise shock there for the island nation. Real fight, real team spirit, and if you watch the highlights, the performance of Vizinha, the 40-year-old goalkeeper, is something to behold at this World Cup. Here's Golos just outside the penalty area, right-hand side for Iran. Feeds it back into the middle. Mehebi, and no room to go forward, so ball goes out towards the left-hand side with Mohammadi. Mehebi is pulled out further wide to try and offer his assistance. There are 3 waiting on the edge of the penalty area for Iran, but the ball doesn't come to them yet. 15 minutes or so to half-time. Here's Rezaian, comes up square against Elijah Just, plays it with the outside of his boot. Then the roll comes in from Moghanlu, and there's the chance for Rezaian, who scores. He lifts up his shirt and pulls it over his face. Rezaian gets Iran level in this game. A country that have never got out of the group stage might have seen this game as their chance to get 3 points on the board, and Rezaian has drawn them level with 13 minutes to go to half-time. A little poke up and around the goalkeeper, and that's their leveller. Iran 1, New Zealand 1.
Well, Krokov's shaking his head. I think he feels there was a bit of fortune in the way this felt. We thought it was finished, but it really was a cute finish. And he started the move himself. He cuts inside to Rezaian, and he plays an outside of the foot pass into his centre forward and just follows his run. Moghanlu tries to actually take a touch and turn his defender and get a shot away. And he thinks he is getting a shot away. Sermon makes a brilliant block just to deny him that, and the ball just then scooped up, probably with a bit of topspin, a yard or 2 away from them. And you think it's going to go to no one, but Rezaian just continued his run, and who should pop up? He does, having played the first pass in, and as that ball bounces towards him, he just plays it nice and coolly, sort of flicks it maybe with the outside of his right foot past Krokov, who couldn't do a thing about it, and been a bit more positive there in the last 5 minutes from Iran. Got Godos on the ball, playing forward runs. He started to be an influence. That's where the goal started to come from.
He is known, Ramin Rezaian, as one of Iran's best ever right-backs. He'll be known as one of their best centre-forwards if that goal produces something later on in the game. 1-1 the score. New Zealand opened, Iran have just levelled. Let's see how the momentum goes from here, where the confidence perhaps now of New Zealand was. Max Crocombe, the goalkeeper, took a big shake of the head and a huge sip of water in the aftermath of that goal. But it is the All Blacks who are coming forward here. Complete swipe. I think he went for the shot there, didn't he?
He certainly did.
A massive air shot in the end from Callum McCowart.
He went for it. I think he touched it with his standing foot. He was trying to swing with his left foot.
Cross comes in, looking for Chris Wood. Leg of a defender, going down to the floor, is able to clear it away. Taremi back in the middle of his own half to help Iran out from a defensive nature. Referee has blown his whistle with Marko Stamenic down on the floor. And you get another look at that defensive clearance from Khalil Zada.
Yeah, it's just a clash of heads at the moment. Like that's coming together. The referee stopped the game immediately. Moghanlu is close to the referee, actually screamed out in pain. I'm not sure Stamenic did. And the referee quite keen to stop the game in that moment. When players have a clash ahead, it's always the way. You always want to make sure that both players are okay in the moment.
Yeah, and both are. Neither has to take a little time out on the side of the pitch. 1-1 then, with 10 minutes to go to the break. 12 attempts at goal, split 5-7 in New Zealand's favour between the two sides. 3 of those 7 for New Zealand on target. 2 of the 5 for Iran have been sent accurately towards Max Crocombe's goal, a decade ago playing for Carlisle United. It is quite the rise for New Zealand's 32-year-old goalkeeper. Part of the Milton Keynes Dons Academy as a youngster. Some great stories at this World Cup. He might not get the headlines as perhaps as a Curacao or a Cabo Verde, but it's why the expanded tournament offers a great opportunity for these players, as New Zealand have the possession on the far side touchline. Their left, Callum McCowart involved in the play, just comes to the halfway line to be that option to receive the pass. Now Joe Bell feeds it out towards Sarpreet Singh, dancing feet, gets the cross in, volleyed away by Ali Namati, hooks a left boot around the ball, able to send it clear. Joe Bell has the ball back, but it is Stamanic who has fouled his opponent, and that will be a Iran free kick, which they want to take quickly, but they did so too quickly. Referee says rolling ball. It's still 1-1.
Yeah, there's just a bit more calmness about Iran defensively at the moment. I think that the early panic, the early bustle that New Zealand sort of inflicted in them just seems to have settled, certainly since that goal. Just a little bit more assured. They're not swiping at clearances. They're actually getting a full leg behind them. A bit calmness. Not just slashing at clearances, even putting the foot on the ball and making passes at time. It's made them look like a much better team.
And with the low passing out towards the far side, get across the halfway line, and New Zealand with just a little injection of pace are able to turn the ball over again and calmly play it between themselves at the midway point. And it's a New Zealand side that don't have the hardest qualification routes. They take part in the Oceania route, and that means they play sides like Samoa, Tonga, Vanuatu, New Caledonia. They beat in the final playoff to secure their place at the World Cup. There are talks maybe they join the Asia qualification route, just like Australia have done. Australia have been doing that for around about 20 years now. They largely play friendlies. It isn't the biggest qualification group or tournament layout, so since the last World Cup cycle, the England game they played in a warm-up to this match over in Tampa in Florida was their 24th friendly. And it is hard to get players to travel to the other side of the world. There is an appreciation of that as well, so they don't often get a full team like this to link up together, but it is smooth from New Zealand, who have linked a fair few passes together in this little wave towards the Iran goal, but the cross is overhit, and that'll go behind for a goal kick. 1-1.
Yeah, it's a fine line with regards to qualification, because the pot they're in, they're qualifying pretty much consistently for World Cups, so I'm not sure you want to change that too much, albeit you probably want to start playing a lot more competitive games to try and improve. So you come on these moments, you are ready for it. What I would have thought was just Chris Wood would have been getting a lot of service from wide areas. I thought New Zealand would have been trying to drop the shoulder, get them to the byline, start put crosses in, just as the referee stopped the game for a head injury. And this one did look a touch nasty.
Stamanic racing in at pace, just as Saeed Ezatolahi was also attacking the ball, and I think they've just brushed foreheads together. But at that speed, that's when it becomes more painful, as we get another look at Razayan's goal.
Yeah, again, Razayan with that, just cutting inside, using the outside of the foot, passing it into the feet of Godos, who had a beautiful touch with his left foot into the feet of Mughanlu. He tried to turn and hit it. As I said before, it just fell kindly for the continuation of the run for Razayan. We're just seeing some reaction from the Iranians in the crowd. They're absolutely delighted with that.
And their green, white and red striped cowboy hats. It's not a full cowboy hat, that is it, but it's as good as. A little concern for an Iranian player down here.
It didn't look great. And, as the defender came in, I'm not sure who it is.
It's Ezatolahi who's down on his back.
Ezatolahi. And as he went for the ball, it was Stamanic who actually went for it as well, and Stamanic just seemed to catch Ezatolahi on the chin. And you just know when a player is sort of rocked and shaken, because as he caught him quite heavily on the chin, he then fell awkwardly, because his knee caught underneath him, and then again banged his sort of chin on his knee as he went down. You knew instantly that that clash of heads had really affected him. So I think we will have a bit of a wait here as they make the medical teams make sure he's okay.
Zatalahi's had, I think, a little bit of cotton wool stuffed up his nose. There's a famous photo of Saeed Zatalahi after the last World Cup, following the defeat and the elimination at the hands of the United States. There's a couple of United States players huddled over him as he was quite disconsolate on the kneeling down on the turf in Qatar 4 years ago. And there is a horrible backstory just after that game as well, where he learnt that his friend had been killed by the security forces in Iran for honking his horn, celebrating Iran's defeat. I told you it was a politically charged game. It's had a backdrop, particularly in the last few months, with visa issues for Iran, safety concerns of Iran. Donald Trump, the United States president, at one point saying Iran shouldn't participate in this World Cup for their own safety. They moved their training base to Mexico. Some fans had their tickets revoked as well. But as you know, the history goes beyond that. The controversy will go beyond this game as well. Egypt against Iran is listed as FIFA's pride match. On the final round of group stage games, it is currently illegal to be gay in Iran, and it is frowned upon in Egypt as well. Iran 1, New Zealand 1, BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, and you can watch the game on the BBC iPlayer as well. 3 minutes to half-time. Wonder whether the heat is taking some out of the players as well. It seems to have slowed down. There were quick bursts from both sides at times in this game, but in the last couple of minutes it has been just knocked around inside the New Zealand half at the moment. Nice little sidestep to take the ball across the halfway line from Callum McCowart. Feeds it to their goal scorer just to the left-hand side, but still a central position. Space out wide for Kakache. Back to goal from McCowart. Kakache tries to stick out a leg, can't quite connect with the ball. That invites Iran to get the interception in. And Maganlu's just taken a knock in, clearing the ball, but it's out for a throw-in on the halfway line.
No, he didn't take a knock. He was at it again. He was trying to get another free kick in. The referee was only 3 or 4 yards away, told him instantly to get back up onto his feet.
Referee is Mexican, Cesar Ramos. And is he giving New Zealand a free kick here, just outside the left corner of the penalty area? Razayan is pleading the innocence of his team. It was a poke from Stamenic, yet it was late from Khalil Zada. That will be a New Zealand free kick in a very dangerous position.
Yeah, Kokakachi, probably knee height, really, knee to knee, just as he flicked it round the corner. And actually, it wasn't the worst foul, because he was in a position to play a nice little 1-2 and get him behind him. So, albeit a free kick in a very dangerous position, it potentially could have been worse in that moment. The referee spotted it, and Chris Wood looks like he fancies this one.
And one option for New Zealand would be to hang it into the penalty area for Chris Wood to attack, but he's stood over this ball to the left-hand side of it, alongside Sarpreet Singh. Plenty of others that Iran have to keep an eye out for here, like Michael Boxall, who is a mean defender, but it will be Chris Wood. Right foot it goes down the middle of the goal, didn't get much height, got it around the mini wall, but a comfortable save for Bayram Band.
Yeah, right at him. The only thing that potentially could have troubled him was it just bounced as it got to him. But there didn't seem to be an awful lot of power, and as you said, it was straight at him. No player ran across the ball. He didn't lose it visually at any point, so quite an easy one for him in the end. Disappointing for New Zealand. That could have been a good opportunity.
Would have probably given them a half-time lead. We're into the final minute of the first 45. 1-1. Maganlu will watch the ball bounce 10 yards away from the byline, moves out towards the right-hand side, allows Giuseppe to take over, fed in towards Mehebi, more central now for Iran, flicked on with the head, looking for Taremi, away by Boxall, taken on the chest of a New Zealand player, but he's unable to clear it, and Iran have it again on the edge of the penalty area. Slip ball forward by Godos, skids along the turf and goes out for a goal kick to New Zealand, with the hydration break and a couple of fouls in there, plus the 2 goals. 6 minutes of added time.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's inevitable we get 3 now, and we have had a couple of head injuries during the game, so No surprise about that. So another 6 minutes for us to enjoy.
At times it's had its moments, this game, as Chris Wood turns to face the Iran goal, right-footed, moves it out towards the far side of the field from 25 yards. A skipping shot comes in. I think it was McCowart, left-footed, but another easy one that Bayram Van saw all the way.
Yeah, he did well to stay on his feet, actually. Probably was caught in there, but I think the referee sort of made it clear that he's going to try and allow play to continue as much as he could. So Coward tried to stay on his feet, got his balance right, tried to hit one, was never really set to hit it with his left foot from that distance, and another easy one for the goalkeeper.
Just tries to flick it back over the halfway line. Back to the white shirts of Iran, who will close out this first half from left to right, just into the path of Chris Wood. Tries to take it on the inside of his right boot, half volley cushioned down, but just showed a little too much to the Iran defender near him. 10-2, sorry, rather 10-3 on Tuesday morning in the UK. It is definitely a World Cup that is messing with the time zones in your head, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is, but we're seeing all types of games during this World Cup. We're seeing, you know, the top teams go head-to-head. You're seeing good teams, so-called, playing against lesser team, different types of action. This is just two teams that are just desperate for a win. Two teams that are of reasonably similar stature within the World Cup. Two teams that are prepared to actually go give it their all and go toe-to-toe. Good quality at times, lacking a bit of quality at times, but it's actually made it a good game to watch.
Certainly has. Iran only have ever won one of their previous group stage games. New Zealand have previously played 6 without winning. Only Egypt, who now move on to 8 World Cup games without a win following their 1-1 draw earlier today, and Honduras, who played 9 without victory, have a longer winless run in a World Cup than New Zealand, who scored first in this game. Elijah Just, the first ever Motherwell man to score at a World Cup, putting the Oceania side in front, but Iran level just after the half hour through Ramin Razaya. We've got a throw in here that is launched into the penalty area from the right-hand side. The heads go up and is flicked onto the roof of the net as well. Dangerous opportunity for Iran. Clever with the flick on header, but couldn't keep it down.
Yeah, I've said his name a lot, Luke. He's certainly been in all of the incidents and action today. And Godos was actually telling his teammate, hurry up and take this throw-in, because he certainly took longer than the 5 seconds the referee was trying to allow, but he wanted to make sure his teammates got into the penalty area, and they nearly caused enough havoc to actually get that goal. It's a delicate flick from McCanglu, but just too much, just went over the bar.
Never scored a competitive goal for Iran. Has done so in a couple of friendlies, but never in on the major stages. Missed an open goal against North Korea in qualifying, which led to some abuse, as you can imagine, from the stands. Wasn't initially on the long list of Iran players selected for this World Cup. He got drafted in later, but he's had an impact in this game, albeit not been able to score yet, as Iran come down the left-hand side. 1-1, as we have played 4 of the additional 6 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Foul given from just clipping the legs of Taremi. So Iran free kick midway inside the New Zealand half, left of centre.
Yeah, that was an unnecessary foul. It really was, from just Taremi had just got himself into a position. He wasn't quite sure what was around him. He was starting to go backwards. He was starting to go away from goal in that moment, and just gave him a really cheap free kick. It was a free kick. The referee, again, only a few yards away from it, saw it clearly, and now you have to defend a free kick just before half-time.
Ramin Razaian kisses the ball, places it down the 4-tiered looming stands behind him as the right-footed sends it into the penalty area. The header is flicked on and into the corner. Ali Namati, the defender, gets up. Near post downward header, but the offside flag goes up and prevents Iran from perhaps taking a half-time lead.
It was a really late flag. We're going to see it again. The flag took an age to actually be put into the air. New Zealand had their arms in the air. They were convinced it was offside. There was real calmness about their the complaints to the officials. Just seeing it again, it was clearly offside.
I don't know what took so long with that flag.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder at times, didn't you? I mean, he went away, they all went away celebrating to the corner where the assistant referee was before he eventually put his flag up, but clearly offside. And rightly disallowed, but it just shows you give away cheap free kicks at times in poor positions on the pitch. It could cost you dearly.
Seconds remain. There was a good yard daylight or so for Ali Namati to be offside as the time runs down on the first half. Iran have a throw in the right back position. Launch it towards the halfway line. Doesn't get very far before Stamanic can head it back towards the Iranian penalty area. They'll try again on the clearance. That one hits Sarpreet Singh and ricochets in towards the 18-yard box of Iran, and Ali Reza Bayranvan can collect. He bowls it out towards the far side. There goes the whistle. Two sides desperate for a win at the World Cup to start their group stage campaign. Well, it was Elijah Just Skull that put New Zealand in front, teed himself up on the left foot to then slam a right-footed volley into the middle of the goal. But just after the half hour, Ramin Razayan himself moving cleverly towards the edge of the 6-yard box, curled it on the half volley around Max Crocombe, and it means we're level at the break, Leon.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a fair result at this stage. I think both teams have had good chances. I think both teams have been quite even on possession as well. It's been some good tackles. I think the referees made it a good game. And I couldn't call a winner from this point. I really couldn't. I think both teams could potentially go on and win it. So we'll see how they both come out in the second half. Managers will have an awful lot to say. They'll be making their tweaks and changes to try and find the advantages that they can. And then we hope that they don't get overly heated and exhausted in the second half, because I'd like to see a lot more of that.
Well, the story pre-game was all about off-the-field issues and concerns and controversies, Dodden, but on the pitch it's been an enjoyable first half. Iran 1, New Zealand 1.
Leon, thank you very much, both of you. I can hear it's been enjoyable. Go off and enjoy your half-time oranges, why don't you? 08085 909 693. This is the Nightclub on BBC Radio 5 Live. We will return to Los Angeles for the second half of the Iran versus New Zealand match. 1-1 at the moment. But first, let's get the 5 Live news headlines.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the FIFA World Cup.
We mentioned the hydration break. There's a couple, though, isn't there? Walk us through what we can expect to see this summer.
Yeah, so there are a couple, but the easiest way to kind of coin these, because there are about, I think there was like 8 or 9, but effectively there's 4 different ones, right? So we're taking a look at here, the time wasting, that's really going to be addressing time delays that are very prevalent in our game. Substitutions is keeping the match tempo up and moving so that we have the ball into play more. It's been crazy with the statistic is 60 minutes, the ball could be in play. So we saw this very effective in the Mexico-South Africa game, and we saw it today in the games where substitutions are now sprinting out. They have that 10-second. And then players treated by a physio, right? Ensuring that if there is medical care attention being taken, it's not a time for players to take a timeout or a break and to step off of the field. So there are some really good laws that have been changed in advance of this, but then there's some that aren't necessarily the greatest, right? So these no tactical timeouts allowed. Basically, that's where a situation where you'd have the goalkeeper go down and then the players would go to the technical area. It's not allowed, but the referees can't necessarily enforce it. So this one I'm not a big fan of. And then finally, the second one, players covering their mouths. This is just a reflection of the UEFA Champions League game. And to step off of the field. So there are some really good laws that have been changed in advance of this, but then there's some that aren't necessarily the greatest, right? So these no tactical timeouts allowed. Basically, that's where a situation where you'd have the goalkeeper go down and then the players would go to the technical area. It's not allowed, but the referees can't necessarily enforce it. So this one I'm not a big fan of. And then finally, the second one, players covering their mouths. This is just a reflection of the UEFA Champions League game, Real Madrid versus Benfica. It's a reaction to it. I think the philosophy and intent is good. Now, the difficulty is it's now putting into the referees to make a subjective decision about someone's intent and whether or not they're saying and or potentially could be saying this. So we haven't seen a situation like this yet in the World Cup where, there's been mass confrontations, but it's going to be a very interesting one. And I actually think it's a little bit unfair to put that on the referee at this time.
I just think the 10-second one to get off the field, and then or else you play with a man down for a minute. That's like a hockey power play. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. And what about if it takes them 11 seconds? Are they going to enforce that? It's like, I don't know. I feel like that's one of those ones that's just written down on a piece of paper that we're not going to see.
Ooh, so we have seen it. We've seen it actually in the Major League Soccer here. We saw it, probably the first most preeminent one is where Luis Suarez took his time off, right, Inter Miami MLS game, took his time off, and Messi had to stay off. He was actually being subbed out for Messi, and Messi stayed out for a minute, right? Then the next game that Luis Suarez played in, he sprinted off the field. So it's actually going to be strictly enforced, and I think it does help when we take a look at, teams that are known for this tactical, strategy. I call it the dark arts. Others call it game management, such as Arsenal. So this one will be strictly enforced, but, I think the players have gotten that indication in the friendlies that this will be enforced. And so you see them doing it because the Japan game, we had a situation like this and Japan ended up scoring the goal. So I think it's been announced, and I think the players and teams are very aware of it.
Yeah, Grell.
MLS they also had a blue card back in the day. I think an orange card, things I never heard of. So
and they also had the 50-yard penalty kick. Do you remember that? We should bring that back.
Yeah,
that was classic.
Of course.
Christine, I just wanted to ask you, just looking back yesterday, the Mexico game, obviously 3 sendings off. In my opinion, pretty soft, a couple of those. Are we going to have a World Cup that is going to be very VAR heavy? Again, I'm just thinking to the first South African sending off where it's kind of 2 players tussling, gets hit in the face. Obviously, when you look at it subjectively, yes, maybe hitting him in the face is that. But in that moment, no one was really calling for a red card. It just feels like, to me, after watching day one, it's going to be a difficult one for the refs to manage. And then VAR are just going to have their fingerprints all over this World Cup for me.
I was calling this game live yesterday, and I actually thought of you because I was like, great. Now he's going to say VAR is getting way too involved. So I knew we'd have this conversation eventually. But, I was with you. I was watching the game live. I didn't see much for it. I was a little interested as to why the Mexico player was on the ground. And then when you saw the video operator put it in, and then I had my video operator in the booth I was in that was able to go back and we rewound it. We actually found a different angle that I think was a better sell for it. You could see where the South African player, it was really a secondary action. Now, I was explaining to someone the speed and the impact and the force doesn't have to be as high as if it would be on a different body part. But because it was at the face and it was into the eyes of the Mexican player, that is why it raised up to a red card. Because of the place and the location, it caused more danger, right? Eye getting poked out. You had a reverse 50 camera angle. You had a camera angle coming in from the high, and you had the other one where you saw this secondary action, arms up in the air. Instead of just taking his body and pulling him up, he literally just uses his left arm, makes a secondary action, and hits him in the eye. Those are the situations that it's just really, really factual in what happened. So that is what forces the VAR to send that down for a red card situation. So I do know there's a little bit of issue. I was with Ali McGoyce on that one. He wasn't a fan of it. And then the second one that you were talking about basically is denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity against the Mexico player. That one truly, truly, truly is, I think where everyone's struggling is they're not taking a look at the time of the snapshot when it occurred. They're looking at where all the players resulted. And I did post it on Twitter. You could see the snapshot when it occurred. There were no defenders covering back, right? He didn't take a heavy touch going out. All of the 4 considerations were there. So at the moment, I was a bit surprised. But once again, if you rewind it back, the referees actually did make the correct decision on all 3 of them, even though I know some of the pundits from the old days don't like it.
Christina, which new rule will create the most controversy?
Ooh, look at Grella asking the hard-hitting ones. I think the new rule that will cause the most controversy is VAR protocol now allowing the VARs to make a recommendation when there is a foul by an attacking player before the ball is put into play, and it's a redo. So basically, you would retake it back. And the reason why I say it's causing the most issues is because it's only for corner kicks and it's for set pieces. However, we all know that you have throw-in specialists in the attacking third who can also throw a ball in even better than a set piece. And right now, a lot of the conversation is going, well, if it's good for the attacker, why wouldn't we also punish a defender like we saw in the Cucurella play, right, in England against West Ham when he took someone down? Why isn't it also good for the defender? Now we feel like we're creating a 12th defender, right? A 12th player on these type of situations. And so because that one has not been workshopped and not trialed in a Youth World Cup or in a previous FIFA senior tournament, that is the one that I think is going to cause the most confusion. Although a simple one was yesterday, only an incorrect corner kick given can be overturned by VAR, not a goal kick. And we saw that at the end of the first half of the South African game. So that one caused immediate, because logically it doesn't make sense. So I just think those two needed to be workshopped more before they were implemented before this World Cup.
Yeah, well said, Christina. I'm sure a lot more controversy as well to come for the entirety of this tournament. Good to see you. We'll see you soon.
Enjoy the Cosmos.
Yeah, you too.
What about some of these new rules then, Christina? We mentioned the hydration break. There's a couple, though, isn't there? Walk us through what we can expect to see this summer.
Yeah, so there are a couple, but the easiest way to kind of coin these, because there are about, I think there was like 8 or 9, but effectively there's 4 different ones, right? So we're taking a look at here, the time wasting, that's really going to be addressing time delays that are very prevalent in our game. Substitutions is keeping the match tempo up and moving so that we have the ball into play more. It's been crazy with the statistic is 60 minutes, the ball could be in play. So we saw this very effective in the Mexico-South Africa game, and we saw it today in the games where substitutions are now sprinting out. They have that 10-second. And then players treated by a physio, right? Ensuring that if there is medical care attention being taken, it's not a time for players to take a timeout or a break and to step off of the field. So there are some really good laws that have been changed in advance of this, but then there's some that aren't necessarily the greatest, right? So these no tactical timeouts allowed, basically that's where a situation where you'd have the goalkeeper go down and then the players would go to the technical area. It's not allowed, but the referees can't necessarily enforce it. So this one I'm not a big fan of. And then finally, the second one, players covering their mouths. This is just a reflection of the UEFA Champions League game, Real Madrid versus Benfica. It's a reaction to it. I think the philosophy and the intent is good. Now, the difficulty is it's now putting into the referees to make a subjective decision about someone's intent and whether or not they're saying and or potentially could be saying this. So we haven't seen a situation like this yet in the World Cup where, there's been mass confrontations, but it's going to be a very interesting one, and I actually think it's a little bit unfair to put that on the referee at this time.
I just think the 10-second one to get off the field and then or else you play with a man down for a minute, that's like a hockey power play. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. And what about if it takes them 11 seconds? Are they going to enforce that? It's like, I don't know. I feel like that's one of those ones that's just written down on a piece of paper that we're not going to see.
Ooh, so we have seen it. We've seen it actually in the Major League Soccer here. We saw it, probably the first most preeminent one is where Luis Suarez took his time off, right, in a Miami MLS game, took his time off, and Messi had to stay off. He was actually being subbed out for Messi, and Messi stayed out for a minute, right? Then the next game that Luis Suarez played in, he sprinted off the field. So it's actually going to be strictly enforced, and I think it does help when we take a look at, teams that are known for this tactical, strategy. I call it the dark arts. Others call it game management, such as Arsenal. So this one will be strictly enforced, but, I think the players have gotten that indication in the friendlies that this will be enforced. And so you see them doing it because the Japan game, we had a situation like this and Japan ended up scoring the goal. So I think it's been announced, and I think the players and teams are very aware of it.
Yeah, Grell.
MLS they also had a blue card back in the day. I think an orange card. Things I never heard of. So
and they also had the 50-yard penalty kick. Do you remember that? We should bring that back.
Yeah,
that was classic.
Of course.
Christina, I just wanted to ask you, just looking back yesterday, the Mexico game, obviously 3 sendings off. In my opinion, pretty soft, a couple of those. Are we going to have a World Cup that is going to be very VAR heavy? Again, I'm just thinking to the first South African sending off where it's kind of 2 players tussling, gets hit in the face. Obviously, when you look at it subjectively, yes, maybe hitting him in the face is that. But in that moment, no one was really calling for a red card. It just feels like, to me, after watching day one, it's going to be a difficult one for the refs to manage. And then VAR are just going to have their fingerprints all over this World Cup for me.
I was calling this game live yesterday, and I actually thought of you because I was like, great. Now he's going to say VAR is getting way too involved. So I knew we'd have this conversation eventually. But, I was with you. I was watching the game live. I didn't see much for it. I was a little interested as to why the Mexico player was on the ground. And then when you saw the video operator put it in, and then I had my video operator in the booth I was in that was able to go back and we rewound it. We actually found a different angle that I think was a better sell for it. You could see where the South African player, it was really a secondary action. Now, I was explaining to someone the speed and the impact and the force doesn't have to be as high as if it would be on a different body part. But because it was at the face and it was into the eyes of the Mexican player, That is why it raised up to a red card, because of the place and the location. It caused more danger, right? Eye getting poked out. You had a reverse 50 camera angle. You had a camera angle coming in from the high, and you had the other one where you saw this secondary action, arms up in the air. Instead of just taking his body and pulling him up, he literally just uses his left arm, makes a secondary action, and hits him in the eye. Those are the situations that it's just really, really factual in what happened. So that is what forces the VAR to send that down for a red card situation. So I do know there's a little bit of issue. I was with Ali McBoyce on that one. He wasn't a fan of it. And then the second one that you were talking about basically is denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity against the Mexico player. That one truly, truly, truly is, I think where everyone's struggling is they're not taking a look at the time of the snapshot when it occurred. They're looking at where all the players resulted. And I did post it on Twitter. You could see the snapshot when it occurred. There were no defenders covering back, right? He didn't take a heavy touch going out. All of the 4 considerations were there. So at the moment, I was a bit surprised. But once again, if you rewind it back, the referees actually did make the correct decision on all 3 of them, even though I know some of the pundits from the old days don't like it.
Christina, which new rule will create the most controversy?
Ooh, look at Grella asking the hard-hitting ones. I think the new rule that will cause the most controversy is VAR protocol now allowing the VARs to make a recommendation when there is a foul by an attacking player before the ball is put into play, and it's a redo. So basically, you would retake it back. And the reason why I say it's causing the most issues is because it's only for corner kicks and it's for set pieces. However, we all know that you have throw-in specialists in the attacking third who can also throw a ball in even better than a set piece.
There for us with their excellent commentary, Mike Benet and Leon Osman. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
Dotton, thank you. Iranian players just gathering in the tunnel at the SoFi Stadium. So far today, Spain 0, Cabo Verde 0. Belgium 1, Egypt 1. Uruguay 1, Saudi Arabia 1. Surely, Leon Osman, not all 4 games can end as a draw.
This is football, of course it can. These oddities quite often throw themselves up, don't they, in this brilliant game that we all watch. I think once you look at it and you see that Spain, there it can draw, I think we all understand anything's possible in this game.
The Iranian head coach, Amir Gahanoy, just almost lifelessly walks down the touchline. He is often criticised at home for being too negative. A lot of the fans think there is a lot of young talent that needs to be brought through, but yet really to see that. His words before the tournament were age is not our priority, fitness is, and that some of the 30-plus-year-olds in this Iran side are some of the fittest members of the squad. Well, that'll be tested in the second half. We've seen that at the World Cup. The heat can have an impact, substitutes can have an impact, and talking of which, Iran have made one at half-time. Aya Yousefi has been replaced by Mehdi Guedi. He plays his football in the UAE. He's only really become a regular in the international setup since 2024, made his debut back in 2020. Missed most of last year with a broken leg. But when he does play, can make an impact, was part of the Asian Confederations Team of the Year back in 2023 as well. As we get underway then for the second half. I'll run you through the 2 teams when we get chance, but there might be an early opportunity here for Chris Wood, who's just trying to hold off Khalil Zada. Those two had a good contest at times in the first half, one that really Chris Wood came out on top of more often than not. It's an Iran long ball, though, that is now testing the New Zealand defence. Good recovery from Finn Sermon, who has to use a diving header to knock the ball back to his goalkeeper, Max Crocombe.
Yeah, it's kind of how the first half played out, wasn't it? That one team will be on the attack, trying to do something, and then within a moment something might happen at the other end. I mean, neither team are scared of just being direct and playing the long ball, pumping it up, allowing their centre forward to get after it, or trying to thread passes through from deep. So it's both sets of defences have got to constantly be ready, because an attack could come from anywhere.
Interesting to see how the Iran setup changes. The initial tactical team sheet had them at 5 at the back, but they have replaced Yusefi, the defender, with the number 10, as mentioned then, Guedes. So we'll keep an eye on that. New Zealand without a change at the break, looking for that first ever World Cup win. Again, Chris Wood allowed time to take it on the chest, move forward, wriggles away from one man, takes on the long-range shot. 25 yards out or so, but he dug under the ball and it rises over the bar. Goal kick.
Yeah, they just seem petrified of him, especially Calzada, who's obviously, we talked about his physicality not being able to match Chris Wood. Dropped away. He's now just spoke to his central midfielder and also to his right back, basically telling them, come and you mark him and I'll drop away, which is what every centre-half would love to do up against the Chris Wood. But they've got to figure something out. They can't allow him to take a ball that's travelled 70 yards, to bring it down on his chest, only 10 or 15 yards from goal, and try and get a shot away. You just can't continue to allow him to do that.
Yeah, most capped player for New Zealand, their all-time record goal scorer as well, Chris Wood, with the score at 1-1 though. Here comes Mehdi Taremi. He's challenged, but the ball runs free out towards the left-hand side. Guedes chases it. It's a New Zealand touch last, so he's happy to let that run for a corner. That allows us at least to run through the Iran side. Bayram Band is their goalkeeper, Rezaian their goal scorer, along with Khalilzada, Namati and Mohammadi at the back. There's Atalahi, Godos and Mehebi in midfield, and then Guedes, Moghanlu and Mehdi Taremi are their front line, you think. There's a couple of Iran players just test out their legs, stretch out their legs inside the penalty area, down on their hands as well to really put some force in the muscle. So Rezaian is ready to take this corner on the near side in the second half. That is Iran's left. They are right to left, all in white. Bright red numbers and names on the back of their shirts as Rezaian sweeps it in near post. It is attacked. It comes off a New Zealand head and flies high up into the air of the SoFi Stadium. Rezaian tries to win it back. He'll now half volley it deep into the penalty area from the left-hand side. Cushion header. Guedes takes on the volley into the ground himself. Closed down at source by Stamanic.
Yeah, Stamanic. It was a really important block as well. I wondered why Iran had sort of, or certainly the substitute Guedes had allowed that ball to go for a corner kick. He actually could have took it in towards goal, but clearly had a set-up and a way of creating an opportunity, and it nearly ended up with Guedes having a shot, a free shot from the edge of the penalty area just inside the D, but Stamanic was so quick into his face there. It was an important block.
Moghanlu just holds off a New Zealand defender, almost going down to the floor. The cross is wild and behind for a goal kick. So New Zealand have Max Crocombe in goal, the Millwall goalkeeper. He's become quite prominent under Darren Baisley, the English manager in New Zealand, who stands in his crisp white shirt, arms folded on the edge of his technical area. Payne, Sermon, Boxall and Kakache. They're back for Bell and Stamanic in the midfield. Just their goal scorer with Singh and McCowett just behind captain Chris Wood. It is New Zealand all in black from left to right in this second half, trying to move the ball on the far side. A little bit of hold-up play needed by Saman Ghoddos, who's now playing in the United Arab Emirates. The former Brentford man had 4 years at the G-Tech Community Stadium, Swedish-born. It's his parents' heritage that allows him to play for Iran, who come across the halfway line. 1-1 the score. We played 5 minutes in the second half on BBC Radio 5 Live, having a look outside the studio windows back here in the UK. The sun not yet causing daybreak, but it won't be far off. And if you're still with us, thank you for joining us across BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sound. You can also watch the game on BBC Television and the iPlayer as well. Around with space on the right-hand side, quickly closed down, ball swung towards the penalty area. Moghanlu, they stand off him, left-footed shot, tried to curl it, didn't get the accuracy. It goes behind for a goal kick and remains Iran 1, New Zealand 1.
Yeah, that man again, Moghanlu, has been involved in an awful lot for his team positively. And when they're trying to create a goal, he's generally involved in the play. All the best action. That shot was never going to trouble the goalkeeper, never really had the opportunity to get any power into it. It was kind of a standing kick from a big swing with that left foot, but he's certainly been involved.
New Zealand were represented in America last year at the Club World Cup, Auckland City. They suffered some really heavy defeats. 10-0 against Bayern Munich, 6-0 against Benfica. Did get a plucky 1-1 draw against Argentina's Boca Juniors, though. New Zealand here also earning a draw as it stands. New Zealand looking for their first win at a World Cup at the 7th time of asking. 3 points back in 2010, all 3 from draws, including that famous one against Italy when Chris Wood was just an 18-year-old. He's one of 2 in the 26-man squad that were with the team back in 2010, the other one being Tommy Smith, now of Braintree Town. Tommy Smith was on the pitch that day. He started that 1-1 draw with Italy. Long ball forward, brought down well by Payne on the inside of his right boot, just brings the ball down outside of the penalty area, uses Sarpreet Singh, who gets the ball back this time from Joe Bell, finds the bright pink boots of Finn Sermon, the defender, stepping across the halfway line. Payne has space again on the right-hand side. Singh awaits on the touchline, and rather disappointingly, Payne with the outside of his boot couldn't find Singh there.
No, he couldn't. Because Iran have changed, as you mentioned before, that half-time substitution. He's certainly not playing as a wing-back. He's playing as an outside left player. He's certainly swapped to a back four. But just wait and see now, because they're making another substitution.
Yeah, what's interesting is it's your man, Maganlu, who's going off.
Yeah, well, I said he'd been involved in most things, positively, some negatively as well. He's certainly involved in the action, and he did start to look tired towards the end of the first half. Maybe he was just having a run, see what he could give in the second half, but that's his race run.
Well, the big question over this Iran side is their match fitness. The domestic league, of which a lot of players play their football in Iran, was suspended in March due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. They've had a couple of training camps in Turkey, but in terms of competitive fixtures, they are seriously lacking, and maybe that is the reason for the change. So Maganlu is replaced. Ali Aliport comes on for his 15th cap, the 30-year-old who plays his football at Persepolis in Iran. Kache on the ball for New Zealand. Mehebi close to him. Iran have won the ball midway inside their own half, out on that far side, the right. Kache in recovery with his mini mullet, the shaved sides of his hair, slightly curly hair that he has. He's able to race back and win the ball as Chris Wood side foots it into the path of Just, who's in again and scores again for New Zealand. Elijah Just at the double. The substitutes that were warming up come onto the pitch to mob their teammate. Right place, right time. Decent first-time finish once again from Elijah Just. And it's Iran 1, New Zealand 2.
And another really good goal from New Zealand and from Elijah Just. He starts on the left side of the team when they build up attacks, but he never stays there. He's constantly running inside, and actually on this occasion kind of swaps over with McCowett, and they get all 3 of those sort of players in behind Chris Wood, just crisscrossing and getting close. Good passing of play. McCowett into Singh, one-touch pass into Just, who's running across him. He plays it into the feet of Chris Wood, who actually receives the ball inside the penalty area, and I'm thinking, it's Chris Wood in the penalty area. He's going to take a touch, he's going to turn and shoot, but he doesn't. He just lays it off first time for the continued run of Just, who on his right foot, yet again, ball on the floor, hits it well enough, just lifts it off the floor. Goalkeeper goes to ground early, jumps out the way of it, if anything, and allows Just to get his second goal of this game and put New Zealand back ahead.
Slight angle, right-hand side of the 6-yard box. Sent past the goalkeeper, and Elijah Just, who had enjoyed an eye-catching season in Scotland, is now eye-catching on the world stage. His 2 goals have New Zealand 2-1 up 10 minutes into the second half against Iran, and New Zealand now back in front will want to hold on to this lead for their first ever World Cup victory.
When they've been at their best, New Zealand, it's when the interchange positions, those 3. Singh primarily starts in the middle, McCowett on the right, Just on the left, but when the ball goes up to Chris Wood, they just make runs all over the place. They benefit from it.
Guedi almost slips as he enters the penalty on the left-hand side for Iran. Chips it up into the middle. Downward header. Crocombe smothers the ball just about and flaps at it to clear it away. Two Iran players close in on Max Crocombe, the New Zealand goalkeeper, who just having taken the lead very nearly found themselves level again. The offside flag is up. It would have counted for nothing for Iran, but nervy moments at the back.
Instant response nearly, and yet again, assistant referee waiting an age to put his flag up. Godos was probably 2 or 3 yards offside as he tried to just swing his leg towards the ball, edge of the 6-yard box. Kind of missed it, goalkeeper were able to make the save, but then the ball was cleared slightly, then it was cleared all the way for a throw-in, then the throw-in was nearly taken before the referee had a word with his assistant, who eventually put his flag up. Seems strange.
New Zealand trying to get in again with that little turn of pace. If they start midway inside the Iran half, Sarpreet Singh, Payne has, I assume, tried to cross that towards Chris Wood, but for a moment looked like he might have tried to catch the goalkeeper off his line and send it into the far corner. It went out for a goal kick. Iran have dealt with that quickly, headed out of play by Boxall out towards the far side. So an Iran throw. New Zealand, the lowest ranked side at this World Cup. Although you may be more familiar with the country as a cricket nation, as a rugby union nation, football is the most participated in sport in New Zealand across the North and South Island. I reckon they have about 170,000 participants playing the game. Only 60, however, are full-time professionals. Some from the A-League, some in Europe. They are trying to get more players in Europe. The likes of the former Bradford City man David Ball, who's now with an agency trying to get more New Zealand players. The better ones from the A-League, the Australian League, of which some New Zealand teams play in. Justice off again here. Justice on a hat-trick, let's not forget. Right to the D, creeps in, can't get the shot away. Challenges come in, he can't feed a teammate, and now Iran have won a free kick. Elijah just looking lively.
Yeah, it opened up for him again, didn't it? I think Iran are just starting to look a bit tired. You talked about having played competitive football, many of them since March. I think you're starting to see that in this heat in the second half. New Zealand look fitter, they look fresher. Just picked the ball up there, and a couple of New Zealand players were looking.
But Iran into the penalty area with Taremi. Had to be pulled out to the right-hand side. Awaits for the support that comes from Ali Port. Pass to Ali Port, his block comes back to Taremi. New Zealand eventually get the black shirts back and are able to just jog up towards the halfway line with Sarpreet Singh.
Oh, he had to get a shot away early. Ball played forward quite quickly. It was 1v1 at best. He probably didn't even need to beat the defender, just take a touch and hit it. He was probably 12 yards out on the angle of the 6-yard box. Just get a shot hard and low. Test the goalkeeper at this stage. There's not had many attacks Iran in the last 5 or 10 minutes. It's been mostly New Zealand keeping the ball, playing those intricate passes, looking brighter. Just getting especially into those spaces. Talk about those 3 players again. Singh, Justin, McCowart, just having a bit more influence in this second half.
Iran 1, New Zealand 2 on the hour mark. BBC Radio 5 live watching the game from the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Big, huge, bold arena, navy seats. There are a few visible, but not too many. 4 tiers, the middle 2 and the top 2 separated by directors' boxes and hospitality areas as well. Huge arena that will host the Super Bowl next year. LA, of course, where Rick Edwards and Lloyd Griffiths have been based for Football Daily, which will drop into your podcast area at 7 o'clock every morning, wherever you get your podcasts from. Rick's also got 5 Live Breakfast from 6 o'clock in the morning. From 1 o'clock tomorrow, there's Breakfast in America, of course, which comes from a cafe in New Zealand. In New York, rather. We're watching New Zealand. We're watching Sarpreet Singh put a shot into the floor that bounces into the grateful hands of Ali Reza Bayram Band.
Yeah, again, so simple in its thought process. Just drop the ball high and soft up between the 2 centre-halves of Iran. Allow Chris Wood to go and do what he can. Try and bring the ball down. He does manage it. He just holds off. Khalilzadeh, again, just brings the ball down on his chest, and then those three players behind Chris Wood, at least one of them is always in his vicinity. This time it was Singh, couldn't quite hit the shot with the power and the connection he wanted, but still managed to get a shot on target.
Two sides with strong qualifying campaigns. Iran only lost one of their 16 matches. New Zealand won all 5 of theirs, scoring 29 goals and conceding just 1 in the process. But at the moment, it is the side from Oceania who are winning on the west coast of America. Some 19 hours time difference between where this game is played and where the New Zealand fans might be watching back home in the likes of Auckland and Wellington. George Weah sat next to Gianni Infantino in the director's boxes. Hospitality, I'm sure, is fine in LA. Throw into Iran on the halfway line, of which Milad Mohammadi, another one who plays for Persepolis, tries to take a normal throw in from him. You may remember in 2018 he tried the spectacular, the roly-poly throw against Spain. He did back out of it in the end and decided it wasn't the wisest option, but certainly went pretty viral pretty quickly with the attempt that he made. New Zealand can't force the ball out towards this near side. It's gone out for a throw and it's still 2-1 to New Zealand.
Yeah, they've got a bit of work to do, Iran, if they want to get anything from this game. Whether that's the manager making substitutions, whether they need to change something tactically, whether it's just a physical thing, whether they need their better players, Tarami and Godos in particular, to stand up and do something special. At the moment, New Zealand are quite comfortable as they're breezing through this game, not really being stretched defensively, looking like, if anything, they might be the team to score the next goal.
Drifting ball from Godos out towards the right-hand side. A little bit of space here for Rezaian. Good cross in. Oh, headers in as well from the right-hand side, and just like that, Iran have got themselves level. Mohamed Mahebi glancing header towards the left-hand side of the goal, piggybacked by his teammates, and we are all square again in Los Angeles. Iran 2, New Zealand 2.
Well, there it was, a mix of commentator curse and doing what the commentator asked for. As this is a wonderful crossfield pass from Godos, just called and asked him to produce a moment for his team, as his team needed it, and he's picked out a really good crossfield pass to one of the other impressive players, Rezaian, scorer of the first goal, assist for the second goal. He takes that ball out of his feet and puts an absolutely delicious cross into the penalty area, right in between those two centre-halves of New Zealand who've been dominant in the air. There's been no space between them. Nobody could get into that position until now. When Mahebi gets into that position, timed his run brilliantly. As the ball just landed on his head, he knew it had the pace on the cross. He didn't need to do an awful lot there, didn't need to add anything to it, just guided it on target, in off the far post. Keeper could do nothing about it, and from an Iran team that had started to look a little bit flat, suddenly a burst of life, a bit of quality, and get their equaliser goal.
It is his 15th international goal. The header of Mohamed Mahebi in off the base of the left-hand post to a flat-footed Max Crocombe who could only watch on. And it is his first goal at a World Cup. He may have scored 5 in qualifiers, but that one will mean more than all of the others for Mohamed Mahebi. And Iran are level again, 20 minutes into this second half, 2-2 the score. They've made a change in the aftermath of that goal as well. Ehsan Haji Safi is on. They've replaced the former Brentford man of Saman Godos. And maybe the momentum switches, maybe if Iran were tired. They've just had a big shot in the arm.
Well, they should do. It certainly might make those legs of New Zealand players just wobble a touch. Potentially had their first win in the World Cup to their name. Yes, there's still a bit of time left, but had it in the hands, and Iran have just took it away again. Now it is all still to play for. I might just have that wrong, because that's bringing the step.
Long ball forward now, taking off the chest this time of Ali Port. You can hear the roar from the Iran fans that are inside the SoFi Stadium. Here's Taremi right at the penalty area. Puts it on his left foot. The shot is weak. 3, 4 black shirts of New Zealand around him. Just mean that the shot that lacked power anyway can't get any further. Now they've slid it into the channel on the right of the penalty area. The pullback is there, but sent behind for a corner. Guedi, the man now causing danger, and it really is Iran seizing the initiative.
Yeah, it is. Positive front foot play. Taremi holding up the ball, getting turned, bringing people into play. Then a lovely run, as you mentioned, from Guedi in behind the defence, from left all the way over to the right-hand side, in between the New Zealand left centre-back and left back. Just couldn't quite get twisted and turn to fire his shot across.
Rezaian, left arm was strapping across the wrist. Feet planted to the floor, is preparing to take this corner from the far side. Out-swinging delivery. Crocombe made the decision to get there. He punches it away. He's gone down in the process of that. I think he's collided with an Iranian player. And that might be an injury to the New Zealand goalkeeper. It also might be a little bit of time wasting from Max Crocombe just to calm things down as New Zealand are preparing a double change. Ben Auld is coming on. 23 years of age is Ben Auld. It's Callum McCowart, one of the first names off. Liberato Cacace still getting those match minutes. That difficult season with injuries. The Wrexham man departs the field. And it is also Ryan Thomas to come on. Plays his football in the Netherlands for PEC Zwolle. He's just signed a new deal to stay there until 2028 as well. Key man in the defence for Zwolle. With him in the side, they concede 1.9 goals on average per game. Without him, it's 2.9, so he might just be in there to shore up that New Zealand defence. Max Crocombe getting a big sip of water. He's sat up, but still sat down. With the medic just having a look at him and what that means at the midway point of the second half. When goalkeepers go down, players aren't allowed to go and get tactical instructions. However, Crocombe's gone down at a very convenient point because it's hydration break time, Leon Osman.
Yeah, I think the referee was just clever in deciding that it was that time. I didn't see an awful lot of contact on the goalkeeper. He felt slightly awkwardly. Certainly no contact from any of the Iran players. I think both managers will probably think about this differently. I think Iran will be disappointed that, you know, we talked about the influence that this hydration break can have on teams or momentum. I think Iran will be disappointed. I think they've got the momentum, or had it, going into this break. Scored the goal, forcing New Zealand backwards, and we've been on top for 20 minutes or so. Start of this second half. New Zealand actually be delighted with this moment. Let's go and speak to the manager, make a couple of substitutions, tactical break. That's what to do next.
So the players taking on board plenty of fluids. Cameras pan to Elijah Just, who just has a glance towards that huge circular LED screen that circles the bowl of the SoFi Stadium, hangs down from the Perspex glass roof. It is a magnificent structure, not only the dome of the stadium itself, but it sweeps beyond the dome. Huge lake outside the grounds as well. Modern stadium, opened in 2020, 70,000 capacity, and treated here to arguably one of the games of the day at the World Cup. Certainly the one with the most goals. 0-0 between Spain and Cabo Verde earlier. Belgium, Egypt, 1 apiece, as was Uruguay against Saudi Arabia. Might not have been the most attractive fixture on paper, but it's provided some entertainment.
Oh, absolutely. And it may not, you know, be the fixture with the most quality moments and the most brilliant players that are giving us incredible football to watch and doing things that we're not seeing, but it's certainly a very competitive fixture. Both teams desperate to win. Flashes of real quality showing how they got to the World Cup. And certainly been enjoyable from our point of view, and as it stands, I couldn't call who's going to go on and win it, if there is to be a winner.
It's certainly there for the taking as we get ready for the restart following the cooling break. 71 minutes played. Iran 2, New Zealand 2. 2 goals for Elijah Just, the first player to score more than once for New Zealand in a World Cup match, and assisted on both occasions by Chris Wood, who is the first New Zealand player to provide multiple assists in a World Cup match as well. Tim Payne, left-footed, over the halfway line, on the bounce, as Iran tried to play it into the New Zealand half. Here is Ali Port, plays it into the left-hand channel, asking for Mohammadi to go and chase. He now holds on to the left arm of Marko Stamenic, whose clearance comes off an Iran man and bounces behind for a goal kick. Iran's 7th appearance at the World Cup. They are yet to progress past the first round. Only Scotland have more appearances without getting past the groups. As we see the AI footage, the semi-automated offside footage that shows quite clearly that Mohamed Mehebi was onside when the cross came in for the right before his header angled towards the bottom left-hand corner to get Iran level at 2-2 in this game. Here's Guedi, left corner of the box, right-footed cross, header away by Finn Sermon, the shaven-headed Finn Sermon. Comes back to Guedi, left-hand side. He'll have the overlapping run if he needs, but he might just feed it inside for the right-footed shot that he's blocked at source from Mehebi. Nearly at the double for him as well. Now the cross comes in early from the left. Diving header away from Stamenic. And his header has been angled out towards the far side, towards Elijah Just, who can take the ball to the halfway line. As he cuts back, he slips, and the referee has given that as a New Zealand free kick. Cesar Ramos hasn't got much wrong in this game. What are you saying there, Leon Osmond?
Yeah, I think it is just about a free kick. The referee's got that one right again. I think, yeah, probably maybe soft in relative terms of how he's tried to referee the game, but certainly enough to be a free kick. As we see that bit of play again from Iran, Guedi's really starting to grow in influence in this game, coming in off that left-hand side since his introduction. He's been involved in most of the things that Iran have done well. Good pass inside for that Everton goal, and another important block from Stamenic. He has been everywhere in the middle of that pitch for New Zealand today.
Swansea City man, tall, athletic midfielder. He's been a title winner in Denmark, in Serbia, in Greece, but a win at a World Cup is probably something that he craves, just like New Zealand. He's the first Kiwi to score in the Champions League, incidentally, during his time in Serbia. In over 30 years, when he was at Red Star Belgrade. Nearly 3:45 on Tuesday morning. BBC Radio 5 live, bringing you commentary of Iran 2, New Zealand 2. Later today, 8 p.m, France, the 2018 winners, take on Senegal. A bit of adjustment needed at the feet at the back here for Iran. It will be hunted down at pace by Marko Stamenic. That's out of play for a New Zealand throw. France-Senegal followed by Norway against Iraq. That's at 11 o'clock tonight. And then in the small hours of tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, Argentina, the reigning champions, get underway against Algeria. Leon will be back for that one alongside Jonathan Pearce, and myself and Sue Smith have you at 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning. As a deflected low crossing from the left-hand side doesn't carry into a black-shirted path for New Zealand. Back out it is played on the wide. It's crossed in over Chris Wood. That means the chase is on towards this near-side touchline involving Tim Payne and Guedi, and is out for an Iran throw. Austria-Jordan is our final game of the set tomorrow, 5 a.m. in the morning on Wednesday. Darren Baisley, former Watford defender, applauding his team on with quarter of an hour to go in this Group G game. Same group as Belgium and Egypt, who drew 1-1 earlier today. All the reaction in the Football Daily podcast that lands at about 7 a.m. in your inbox. Here's Taremi, plays it out towards the right-hand side. They'll try and get it back to Taremi on the edge of the D as well. Now the driven shot from 25 yards out is blocked by Sermon and spins away for a throw-in on this near side. Taken quickly, here's Guedi. Holds it up towards the corner flag, near side the left for Iran, this action. Now he wants to take the ball along the byline. Tim Payne has got a little bit of strength. Guedi as Payne put himself between player and ball, is pulled down. Free kick to New Zealand.
Yeah, he did well there, Payne. Gayedi had done him. And Payne, just as all good full-backs do, just as Gayedi's trying to run round, and just step across him, use your arm, get your body in. Don't allow him that free run around you in that moment. And then he did what a lot of defenders do nowadays and felt a touch of contact and went to ground in his own penalty area. Got a free kick. I thought the referee might have played on there.
Long ball forward. Runs in the centre circle, headed back into New Zealand territory by Iran. Sermon's header's not a convincing one. Taremi will take over the ball on the corner of the penalty area here. Held off for now by Joe Bell. Gives it to Gayedi, tries to slide back into Taremi. The angle will be too tight. He goes for the cutback. Sermon recovers well. And whistle has gone. Taremi stretching out his right leg. He's feeling a little bit of cramp there. The number 9 of Iran. Good hold-up play initially. Plays it to the bright spark of Gayedi. And I think, are they saying possibly the ball's gone out of play before before Taremi could bring the cutback, so goal kick?
Yeah, I think Gayedi just overhit the pass and he just couldn't quite get there, Taremi. I think he was actually open that he took quite a bit off that pass and he could either hit it first time or take a touch and hit it afterwards, but wasn't to be the case. He just overhit it, couldn't quite keep it in, ended up giving himself a touch of cramp in trying to do so there, Taremi.
So for New Zealand, Callan Elliott comes on. Auckland FC man. He's played for their rivals as well in his past. He's played for Wellington Phoenix, Scottish-born, but moved to New Zealand as a child. He's replaced Tim Payne, who before the World Cup had just 4,000 followers. He was picked up by an Argentinian influencer who said, let's get the least followed player at the World Cup to the most followed player. Maybe he's not quite achieved that yet, but Tim Payne now has, as it stands, 5.8 million followers, more than the entire population of New Zealand. He will watch on from the sidelines for the remainder of this game as Azatalahi just has a clash of heads with Thomas.
Yeah, another one. He took a big one in the first half, big clash of heads, quite serious, and won't welcome another one. Both him and Thomas, both still running the heads at the moment. Referee again, very quick to stop the game. Make sure both players are okay to continue. And he's quite pleased that they are so.
So Tim Payne, 5.8 million followers. Leon Osman, 34.9 thousand.
Yeah, quite happy with that until Tim Payne did this.
Do we run a competition to get the least followed pundit 5 Live to the most? Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. What's your handle? Let's give that a shout out, shall we? As the ball runs out for a throw on the far side. If you want to give Osman 21 Leon a follow.
I'll have to start being more entertaining, won't I?
Crossing from the right-hand side, it is deep towards Taremi, who tries to get up in between 2 New Zealand defenders. One of them, Finn Sermon. He does get the header, but it loops high and wide and out for a goal kick. Here comes another change for Iran, and it will be Taremi to depart then. Their goal machine, 58 goals for his country, but won't add to that tally today. And it is Amir Hossein Hosseinzadeh, who has been the Iranian League's top scorer for the last 2 seasons, to come on in his place. So it is like to like in terms of position and maybe ability, and he has a little over 10 minutes of normal time to make an impact in this game.
Yeah, and if they're going to win it now, Iran, they have to do it without probably their biggest talismans that they've got in Godos and Taremi. That's not the easiest thing to do, but then they've showed, just seeing their manager on screen now, then they've showed that they have got a really good team, a good work ethic, a decent squad, some quality players within there, and he has rotated to try and make sure he's got enough freshness on the pitch as this game gets into the latter stages.
Amir Gahanoy just had a little conversation with Taremi as he went off the pitch. They spent a few seconds talking to each other. He's got his long t-shirt on as Gahanoy. New Zealand free kick here to the right of centre. Tim Payne was up there applauding from the sidelines, wanting them to send this one long, which Singh does towards the edge of the penalty area, looking for Chris Wood, who will now readjust his position as the ball flies out towards the left-hand side. Space here to get the cross in, and it is aimed in towards Sermon. Ball spins away, goalkeeper Kane. Wasn't anything convincing about that from Bayram Van, but the ball has run away towards this near side, and Guedes has managed to clear it out for a New Zealand throw.
Ah, but he did enough, though. As that ball came in, it was a really dangerous ball. And just as he got up there was a coming together between, I think it was Sermon and Nemati. He just tried to get himself involved in it. He actually made both of them lose their balance because he made contact with them physically. Neither of them included himself with his own punch, and his glove couldn't get anything really substantial on it, and it went away from the goal.
So Iran 2, New Zealand 2 into the final 8 minutes in Los Angeles on the west coast of America. Challenge comes in from Hossein Zada. Runs out for an Iran throw right in front of the New Zealand manager, Darren Baisley. Short grey hair for the New Zealand coach, who has spent plenty of time within New Zealand setup. He joined the coaching staff 15 years ago as the under-17s assistant coach, then the under-20s. But what that does mean, a bit like De La Fuente at Spain, is you're coaching through the ranks. You get to know the team and how they work and how they cooperate. There is an Iran player down here.
Yeah, it's something and nothing. Chris Wood was competing against Nemati, and Chris Wood thought he was fouled, turned it sort of away, and then as Nemati let go of him, the other centre half, I don't think it was Kalazadi, I think it might have been Kalazadi, was sort of made contact with Chris Wood, and Chris Wood sort of felt the contact coming, tucked his arms in, and then he made contact with the shoulder of Chris Wood. He didn't throw anything, he didn't do anything in particular. I don't think he did anything wrong in that moment, but Kalazada jumped onto the floor, and all the Iranian players were trying to tell the referee Chris Wood had thrown an elbow, and he clearly hadn't, and the referee was not being conned by that.
And he's refed it well, has Cesar Ramos, the Mexican referee. The match momentum graphic on our screen just show that Iran have carried the majority of the threat. They've certainly scored in peaks of their attacks as well. Hoisted up into the air, falls back down towards the halfway line, flicked out towards the left-hand side for Ryan Thomas. Tries to squeeze the ball in between two defenders and then actually almost bundles it through, but he's stopped in the end by Ramin Rezaian. And then there's a serious cramp issue, I think, for Rezaian, down on the floor, who's clutching at his right foot, trying to pull his muscle back in line. Ryan Thomas starting that almost, well, he does catch his pink boot first before he gets to the ball. And that's what Ramin Rezaian is complaining about. Has resulted in an Iran free kick, 15 yards or so inside their own half, pumped forward by the boot of Kalazada, headed by Finn Sermon, and then a clever little smart touch from Singh, just takes it around his man, pulls him out towards his near side touchline. He's doubled up upon though, and now Hossein Zada wins it back for Iran with 5.5 minutes to go. 2-2 the score between Iran and New Zealand in this Group G game, final one of the day, and all the action starts again at 8 o'clock tomorrow night on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds with France against Senegal. Here's Mahebi, man who's got the second goal in this game to get Iran level. Little delicate chip into the box. Oh, New Zealand haven't dealt with it. Turning shot blocked. It might come to Hossein Zada. Not quite, then the long-range effort over the bar. First time hit. Comes flying in from Azatullah. He saw his moment, couldn't take it, and it goes behind for a goal kick. 2-2.
Yeah, he should have made the pass. Hossein Zada was free on the edge of the penalty area. If it had just been less selfish, just maybe picked his head up, just made a 5-yard pass sideways to his teammate. He was unmarked, edge of the penalty area. He tried to go for glory himself, tried to swivel on his left foot and hit it through bodies and players. Couldn't quite get it done. New Zealand able to smother it clear.
Zatalahi, who might be remembered for his time on loan at Reading in 2018-19. Injury cut his time short there. 4.5 minutes left of the 90. I imagine through stoppages, through substitutions, through 2 goals, there will be quite a considerable amount of added time as we tick towards 4 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Here's Mohammadi. Plays it back towards his own central defender, up towards the halfway line. Singh tries to force an issue for New Zealand, carrying the ball into the middle, but he can't. Hossein Zada has got Guedes over to his left-hand side. New Zealand retreating. The cross takes a deflection off the leg of Callum Elliott and takes any potential threat of the ball away. Iran have it back in their white shirts. They're right to left in this second half. Mohammadi. Guedes just steadies the ball in between box and touchline on the left-hand side. Hossein Zada finds a little bit of space for Azatalahi. That's more accurate, but it was down the middle of the goal, and Max Croker, with his 2 hands at head height, can catch the ball.
Yeah, they worked it well again. Guedes, when he gets on the ball, there's just a brightness to it. And New Zealand had to bring over a couple more players than they'd really wanted to, and that left gaps in the middle of the pitch, where that's where the shot came from. It was well hit. It was never really troubling the goalkeeper, far too central in the goal. Just for a moment looked like he had the perfect angle to bend it into the far corner, just didn't quite get it right. What I will say is, I think the Iranian substitutions have worked a lot better than the New Zealand ones in the game. 2 New Zealand substitutions haven't really helped them. In fact, if anything, made them take a backward step. Thomas in that number 10 position, Singh moving out to the right, kind of lost a bit of their impetus when they've been getting going forward. Yeah, that's not the case for Iran.
The ones that are still linking the play for the New Zealand are the ones who started the game. The likes of Singh, trying to use Chris Wood still. But it's Iran with the possession inside the New Zealand half. Here's Hossein Mohammadi, tries the cross. Does Mohammadi. That bounces off Callum Elliott. And will be an Iran throw, and as they Iran corner, and as Zion comes over to take it on this near side, those Iran fans behind the goal get to their feet and loudly cheer on this Iran side. They will suck that ball into the back of the net from this corner if they can. The referee just wants the ball replacing down in the quadrant from Zion. Left arm strapped around the wrist, raised in the air. That's the signal from the corner, and before he takes it, referee now wants a word with Ben Old. And Khalil Zada at the rear of the 6-yard box. Zion is still ready. Gives the signal again, right-footed in at the near post. Oh, it bounces right across the 6-yard box, turn and shot well wide. It might even come back out to Zion on this near side. He tries to cross in again. Header away from Sermon. Nervous times at the back for New Zealand. Here's Hossein Zada, left corner of the penalty area, slides it in towards the edge of the D. There's a poke away at the back for New Zealand, who might try and get themselves at the field. Just tries the turn. He is caught. The first yellow card of the night is out. Ahsan Hanji Safi stops just turning on the edge of the centre circle and trying to create space, which should have dragged New Zealand forward.
Yeah, thou shalt not pass in that moment there. And it was a clever little turn from Just. He just allowed the ball to just roll across his body and just turn his body, and it fooled Hadji Safi completely. And in that moment, he realised he was needing to stop what would have been probably 3-on-1 for a New Zealand break there against the one Iran player that was back, and he just hacked him down. Certain yellow card.
Into the final minute of the 90. Long free kick forward from New Zealand. First header won by Iran. It comes out towards that far side for Ryan Thomas to control again. New Zealand will want the World Cup stopping at this rate. They're about to top the group as it stands with this 2-2 draw. Iran will be second as it stands. Belgium and Egypt drew 1-1 earlier today in this group. Another commentary we brought you on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Throw into New Zealand is level with the left corner of the penalty area. It's going to be sent in on the long throw by Michael Boxall, taken on the chest by Azatalahi. And the long clearance is away downfield for Iran. Now the foot race. Look at this pull of the shirt between Guedes and Joe Bell. And I think Bell comes out on top. The referee says that's 50-50. New Zealand have it at the back. 5 minutes of added time, Leon.
Yeah, you're exactly right, though. Guedes was complaining that he was getting pulled, but he was doing just as much pulling himself. And the referee, I think he's been terrific tonight. I really do. I think he's weighed the game up really well. He's took no nonsense with regards to trying to fake fouls and buy things that aren't necessary. He's allowed the players to slog it out at times. He's been really good, really helped this game flow.
Faint shadows from the floodlights at the SoFi Stadium as Sarpreet Singh just brings the ball down on the edge of the penalty area, now awaits support. Here's Bell with his curly hair, moves back towards the halfway line, plays it off an Iran man in Hossein Zada. So that will be a free kick. A throw-in rather to New Zealand, who are going to make another change here and bring off Sarpreet Singh and bring on Jesse Randall. For his 12th cap, he's going to be playing at Dundee United next season after joining from Auckland. He's a breakout star in the A-League. He's scored 9, he's assisted 6. And also being replaced is the anchor of midfield, Marko Stamenic, is coming on. And Tyler Binden of Sheffield United on loan from Nottingham Forest steps onto the pitch too.
Yeah, these are the moments where you need to be right up to speed when you're coming on as a substitute. Into added on time. You don't want to let your team down, but I think there's going to be one more chance in this game.
Long throw in, launched towards Chris Wood. Where's the loose ball going to end up? Ali Poor is able to send that away high into the Los Angeles sky on his right boot. Not too high though, this stadium's got a roof. As it's sent forward again. And New Zealand on the attack left-hand side, trying to win it in towards Chris Wood. That's what he does best with his header, but straight into the hands of Bayram Van on his goal line.
Oh, he's been waiting for that opportunity all night long. It just meant, as that ball came in, it wasn't a bad ball, but he just had to take a backward step to be able to give himself the room to get it. Maybe a slight nudge in there as well, but because he was taking the backward step, he then couldn't generate the power going back across the goalkeeper to really stretch the goalkeeper into making a really difficult save. Good move from New Zealand, but not quite enough for Chris Wood.
You're surprised they weren't doing that enough in the first half. New Zealand, it would have been trademark Chris Wood. The pass back is slow, but some lovely footwork. Lovely dummy from Bayram Van, just slides it under Chris Wood, who jumps in the air to try and block any long clearance, and it's smart from the Iranian goalkeeper, who's now 33 years of age. Out of play it goes for a throw, and we are 3 minutes into the 5 added on. Iran 2, New Zealand 2. Is there some late drama, or are we heading for a 4th draw in a row at the World Cup? Precious points it may be, we won't know that till the end of the group stage. Iran with space inside the New Zealand half. Play it out towards this near side, the left. Hossein Zada has the overlap of Mohammadi, tries the first time cross, in comes Callan Elliott, another Iran corner on the way.
Oh, he committed fully to that, did Elliott. Really, probably a bit too much. Didn't need to commit that much, had to get the tackle right, did, but in doing so he's given a corner kick away. Iran do seem to fancy themselves at these.
So players take their position inside the 18-yard box. It's rather well spread out. It is a corner from Guedes, deep towards the back post. The header is needed off the line. There was a header from Iran at the back post initially, and then the New Zealand one got it away. Now just tries to take it up the field. Has to pull out towards this near side. Sends a long ball that only just gets over the halfway line. Iran up into the air. Brought down on the chest, but caught in possession of Ryan Thomas of New Zealand. Referee has given Iran a free kick here. We're into the final minute of the 5.
Well, he's just been caught in possession poorly, really, there in the centre of the pitch, Thomas. But it was that same player that made a really important header inside his own 6-yard box only moments before. And I think they wouldn't mind that on the balance of things, because that header in the 6-yard box was crucial.
Mohammadi, 10 yards inside the New Zealand half, plays it back towards the halfway line for Haji Safi. Low curling ball out towards the right-hand side with his left boot. Played down the line by Rezaian. This is it for Iran. The challenge comes in. It tackles Guedes from Tyler Binden. And the ball has gone out here and will be in New Zealand's favour on the restart. But the 5 minutes of added time that we were shown are up.
Yeah, it was poor, really, from Guedes. Really needed to drop the shoulder and get a cross in, as rendered. And in doing so, gave a really chip-free kick away. That's the end of the game.
Full-time whistle goes. It is a 4th draw in a row for today's action at the World Cup. Iran and New Zealand sharing a point. A 2-2 intriguing game where New Zealand led twice, but Iran responded. Elijah Just, the Motherwell man. For how much longer remains to be seen after his impressive season that he's brought into the summer as well. 2 goals for him, 1 in each half. Ramin Razayat levelled it up at 1 apiece, and the Heavy's header means that Iran do walk away with something in a difficult year for the nation of Iran. A tournament for them surrounded by off-field stories, but they have done their nation proud tonight. They've fought back twice, they've earned a point. 2-2 the final score, Leon.
Yeah, both teams will be pleased, both managers will be pleased. It's an important point at the start of the campaign, especially when you mention the 2 teams drawing. Just gives you a good base. Also mentioned New Zealand top in the group on goals scored and not receiving as many yellow cards as Iran. But sometimes when you're watching a World Cup, you're expected to see real high-quality games that you're expected to see. Maybe one of the better teams up against a low block, and what can they do? This was just really refreshing. 2 teams really going toe-to-toe. Proud to be at the World Cup, justifiably so, earn their position, and then go and swing it away, seeing what they can get out of the game. They gave it everything, couldn't quite get a victory, either of both teams, but sets them up nicely for the next few games.
It certainly does. Leon's back tomorrow for Argentina against Algeria. That's a 2 o'clock start, so make sure you stay up for that one as the world champions get back underway. New Zealand's wait for a first ever win at the World Cup will continue. A credible point for Iran, who've never got out the group, and who knows how important that point might be come the end of the group stage, but it has finished in Los Angeles. Iran 2, New Zealand 2.
Yeah, Mike and Leon, thank you very much for some excellent commentary, and I did appreciate what you said. To round up this conversation tonight, this was a match which was exciting and had so much going for it, with both teams wanting to win this, and both teams being proud of representing their nation, etc. There is so much around this game. So, to sum up, it ended